Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, on what you need, you're watching my channel. And of course, we are on a stream right now where you guys can jump in via StreamYard. We're just going to talk some boxing, lots of stuff to talk about. So we're going to get into it. I am what you need. If you like this channel, don't forget that you can join us in the chat section, or you can join us on the panel. I only allow 3 people at a given period of time. And also, in addition to that, you got to control your microphone, be respectful, and be cool. All right, we're going to chop it up today. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the link in the StreamYard so you guys can jump on accordingly. All right. And we're going to chop it up. All right. Booyah. It's in the YouTube rejected your comment. This is fairly common when sharing a link. You may need to share the link another way. What? All of a sudden, YouTube is blocking me from sharing this link for you guys to jump up on my feed. I don't know why. So this is some weird stuff going on here. There's always something weird going on, but I got another way of doing it. So cancel that there. That should be able to disappear. That is strange. Let's see what happens. I'll try and post a comment again. If I can't send the link to the chat, what you can do is you can just request the link. And what I will do is I will just send it to you, because this is some weird shit that just went down. Okay, we got through this time. All right. All right, so let's start talking boxing, man. Lots of stuff going on. We're going to start off with Gary Russell Jr. saying that he knocked out Terrence Crawford a while back in the amateurs. And Texas boy, what's up? Oak Hill. What is Oak Hill, Texas boy? Talk to me, brother. Yeah, how he knocked out Terrence Crawford in the amateurs. It wasn't in a fight. What happened was Terrence Crawford asked, for those of you who don't know the story, he said that Terrence Crawford came to him for affirmation that he had actually beaten the guy who he was facing in sparring. But Gary Russell Jr. didn't share his opinion, was explaining to him that the guy was boxing. Terrence was saying the guy was running, and Gary Russell Jr. explained to him it was boxing. And Terrence Crawford wanted to go back and forth with him. And Gary Russell said, you know, grown man shit, he don't go back and forth with people. Texas boy says, Virgil Ortiz, Charlos. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. From Texas, right? Salute. Yeah, so going back and forth. And, you know, Terrence wanted to get in his face. And, you know, Gary Russell put that work on him. Hit him one punch. Knocked Terrence Crawford the fuck out. And on top of that, pretty much broke his jaw, fractured his jaw. He had to go to the hospital. And so, you know, as a result of that, Terrence Crawford ends up saying and responding to that, saying, you know, that Gary Russell Jr. was just clout chasing. And Gary Russell Jr. offered, he said, you know, if you dispute that, brother, I'm willing to go all the way up to 147 and face you. We know Gary Russell Jr. right now, he's at 120, what is it, 126. He's a featherweight. He was talking about, you know, going up to 130, 135, facing guys like Gervonta Tank Davis. You know, he was calling out everybody's name in the book. But we have to see, actions speak louder than words. Where are you going to go, brother? You're at featherweight for the longest period of time. So the question to Gary Russell Jr. is, you're talking this talk like Keith Thurman's talking this talk. Let's see the actions to back up the talk. Are you going to just stay at featherweight where you are at and face another guy who is a good fighter, like King Tut was a good fighter? But, you know, are you going to do that? Or what is exactly are you going to do? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? So Gary Russell Jr. is talking, and that's cool. If we don't see any action behind the talk, what's the use of the talk? You know what I mean? Poopy Sit Strong. Shout out to Poopy Sit Strong in the building. What's up, Poopy? Who was your favorite wrestler? I don't know. I'm into boxing. That's if you watched it. I'm into boxing. I'm not really into wrestling, so I don't really care about it. I'm just being honest with you. I don't care about wrestling. I don't care about MMA. Claressa Shields today talking on The Last Stand with Brian. Help me out here. Brian Custer. She said she's talking about MMA and the fact that the MMA women actually get more money. Their fights are just the same conditions, same rounds as the men, and they are treated much more equally. And she's wondering why that doesn't happen in boxing. I was just listening to I forgot what his name is, Michael something, for The Ring, and he was talking about, he was trying to go there where he was talking about, women in women's boxing. There are fewer women in women's boxing than men, professional fighters. And so he's trying to make that rational that there's a less deep pool. As a result, women shouldn't be paid as much. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit. And I'm going to tell you why it's bullshit. It's never about quantity. It's always about the quality of fighters. He's trying to make the case that there's more women champions today because, they're less women there. And so they're becoming champions sooner. I'm going to say this. While women's boxing is still evolving, I disagree that because there are less champions there, that means there's less quality. Or because there's less women boxers, there's less quality. Okay, these women are going to the Olympics, they're competing. A lot of these women now are committed solely to boxing. That's where they live. That's what they live off. They don't just do other jobs. They're doing boxing straight, 24/7, day and night. And I think that Claressa Shields made a very good point that the conditions of women, it's been proven in MMA already. I was listening to D Styles once, and D Styles was talking about, because I was talking about Claressa Shields versus Terrence Crawford, and that she would go past 3 rounds with Terrence Crawford. And I remember D Styles saying, now listen to me, some of y'all will think I'm chauvinist, but when it comes to MMA, the women just have to grip and wrap their feet around each other, and they're good at that. Women are good at that. They got big hips. I was listening to this bullshit that this motherfucker was talking about, and I was like, wow. Texas Boy says HBK the GOAT. Who is HBK? I don't even know who HBK is. Break it down, brother. Break it down, Texas Boy. So, he was talking this shit, and I'm saying to myself, what the fuck you talking about? They do stand up just like men in MMA. All right. How the fuck did Holly Holmes beat what's her name? Ronda Rousey. How did she beat Ronda Rousey? So I didn't buy into the bullshit, that this guy was proposing. There's no reason on earth why women shouldn't go 3 rounds. Why they can't have 3 rounds like men. There's no reason on earth why they can't go 12 rounds the way our men go 12 rounds. They're fighters. They're warriors. All right. Claressa Shields went in the interview with Brian Custer, and Brian Custer is also very much listening to her and kind of going along with that line. She was saying that she spars guys. She spars men. She spars women. All right. And I'm not saying you need to do a crossover spar, but I'm just saying that, she would hold her own with a lot of professional male boxers out there. All right. She would hold her own. Okay. The elite professional boxers, she ain't gonna, she made claims that she would stop Keith Thurman, and, she would stop, who was it again? Some other whack ass shit, and she would face Triple G. That shit, I don't know about that. Okay. But she would be competitive with some of the the lower weight class guys. Sure. We've seen her spar guys who were former world champions. We've seen her spar guys who were very good professional fighters, and they don't ease up on her or anything, and she does her thing. So I never. Oh, you talking about WE, Texas Boy, Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin? That was back in the day, WWF days. Yeah, I forgot about all of that. These sort of people she would do well. I mean, she's a 168 to a 154 pounder, right? Anybody from 168 to 154, she can handle, right? Here's my thing. My thing is, I don't really see her, like, for instance, fighting, you know, an elite 168 or an elite 160 and necessarily holding her own with those guys. We're talking about her, but then again, boxing is more about skill. You know, it's more about skill than it is about just power and strength. So even if a guy is physically stronger than you and even punches harder than you, there's a way to neutralize that guy. Now, whether Claressa Shields knows how to do that, because she likes to bully a lot of fighters, but she can also box. Whether she could do that or not I think she has some capability of doing that. But some of those, like, for instance, Claressa Shields versus Demetrius Andrade. No. She could spar him, okay? And he could go hard sparring and stuff. Here, go 2-3 rounds sparring. But, you know, a 10-round, 12-rounder, she ain't got a prayer. Not just of winning, but, you know, if he catches her, could be a problem, right? Triple G and Claressa Shields. Oh, yeah, she could throw a lot of punches, but when he corners her and starts launching those bombs on her, ooh, that could be a problem. You know, you're talking about this. Triple G breaks eye orbitals. Okay, dude could punch you in the hip and could wreck your hip. He could wreck your pelvic bone. You know what I'm saying? Could fracture it. You know, that's a little bit different. You know, but you know, Texas Boy comes in and says, "Do you follow pro boxers' diets?" Yeah, because I myself do a little bit of boxing, so yeah, of course. Texas Boy be clowning. He just trolling right now. He says, "I follow the AB and Tank diet." Okay. So you know, with Claressa Shields, I absolutely agree. One, women should be paid a similar way as men are being paid. Of course, you do need to have the promotion and the attraction for it. No doubt about that. But then again, I think women should not just agree, oh, just pay me $300,000. I mean, the highest a woman's been paid in Boston so far is $600,000. You know, and you know, women can be paid a lot more than that, and it depends on what you call for. What you say, I want this amount for this fight. You know what I mean? You have to call. You have to call. I remember it was Anthony Durrell talking about that. You have to call for the amount you want. You know, and with Claressa Shields, she's definitely a highly decorated woman fighter, probably the most decorated woman fighter in all of boxing. Amanda Serrano did some incredible things. And we got great women boxers. We got Katie Taylor, Senicia Estrada, of course, is another one up and coming. She hasn't won a world title yet, but she's up and coming. Even Marlene Esparza, she's still promising, even though, you know, Estrada beat her ass. She's still promising as a fighter. And we got a whole bunch of women boxers, man. We got the old veterans and Cecilia Brækhus, who's going to be facing McCaskill very soon. We got Katie Taylor. Now, I was hearing, you know, hearing that Katie Taylor was still facing Amanda Serrano. I thought Katie Taylor was going to be facing Persoon. So somebody going to have to update me on that information, whether, you know, whether Persoon's going to be facing Katie Taylor or is Estrada facing Katie Taylor, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? But with respect to women's boxing and them being paid similarly and so on, I don't see why not. I don't see why not. The fights are exciting. They're not like scraps all the time. A lot of the scrapping is starting to come to an end, and skills are now being seen on display. You know, and I think that in and of itself is, you know, something that makes for boxing being much more interesting, because I always like to see the skills, and I've seen guys downplay the skills of these fighters, but they got skill. They got skill, especially Amanda Serrano. You talk about a power, but she's a skill fighter as well. Um, but we'll see what happens with women's boxing. But I just thought I would mention that since we're talking about you know, fighters in boxing getting equity. You know, another interesting topic that I thought I would talk about, and again, you guys can feel free to come in as a guest. The link is there in the chat area. Feel free to come in as a guest. Another topic I wanted to talk about in boxing was Mayweather talking about how he was a pioneer of different things in boxing. And he also talked about how, you know, he wasn't just an advocate, but that the black community sometimes don't rally behind black fighters, or they're kind of vocally silent on certain black fighters. This is what I will say about that. A lot of times in boxing, because we know there's racism in boxing, a lot of times in boxing, media couch certain things certain ways. Even now, I'm looking at this has nothing to do with boxing, but nonetheless, even now when we, you know, I'm a proponent of the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and I look at how the media tries to still twist the people who have been supportive of that and pushing for it, and calling them by certain names. You know, I hear rabid fans, for example, as one of the names we're being called and so on. And you see the subtle biasness against something. What I would say about it is that there's racism in boxing. I'll give you an example. A fighter may be tricky and slick and slippery, right? And for some reason, that fighter will be called awkward. Oh yeah, awkward fighter. So skilled and slippery and slick can be called awkward. And if you listen to the code, language in boxing, it can tell you everything you need to know. In the Stephen Fulton versus Angelo Leo fight, for example, I'll listen to different people break down Stephen Fulton, and they make it sound like Stephen Fulton isn't all that. And I'm not saying it's racism or anything, but I'm just saying. Stephen Fulton, I'm going to tell you all this. You heard it from What You Need First. Is a very slick, skilled boxer. Very. He's been tested with certain opponents. Adam Lopez, very good fighter as well, slick and skilled. And he came up trumps with that. And then he faced a fighter coming from so that was Buddy McGirth's boy. And then he had another fight with a nice, slick, skilled southpaw dude. He beat him. And these are guys that know boxing, and they're going to be something, okay, in boxing circles. And then I looked at him when he faced, I didn't get to see everything, but I saw him face the Asian kid. And I'm going to say this. That dude he got the formula, and he's still developing his game. He's still developing his inside game particularly, but his defense is on point. That dude is showing me signs of becoming the next superstar. And there's a lot of things that he does and how he approaches the game that I like. He's solid. I pick him to win easily, not easily, but I pick him to win over Angelo Leo. And Angelo Leo is a good fighter. You know, just shout out to Intangible Boxing. I was looking at his breakdown. And Intangible was saying something that didn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. He said that Stephen Fulton keeps going straight back. Now, let me just explain to Intangible this. Stephen Fulton doesn't move straight back. If you look very carefully, he's moving off a pivot. It's a wide pivot, but it's a pivot. That's why he gets out of corners, because he's actually moving in a circle. Go ahead and pay attention. You'll see. He never moves straight back. Mayweather did the same thing. And it's a style. Stephen Fulton's incorporated a style, something like Floyd's actually, except when it comes to the inside fighting and how he still hasn't learned how to dip under punches or roll under punches. You know, that's roll under punches, roll and come back up and bump him, right? Bump the opponent off. He just still don't know how to do that. And you can see he's still learning aspects of his game. His inside fighting, you saw him inside fight a little bit against Adam Lopez, but mostly he fight from a distance. But nonetheless, Stephen Fulton showed me his defense is on point. That's one of the most important things. His defense is on point. And then how he circles his opponent is just brilliant. Okay, and we've seen him deal with southpaws. We've seen him deal with orthodox fighters. We're talking about really good boxers. And then we've seen him with bangers and with, guys that will, swarmers and stuff like that, right? He got it. He got everything. He battle tested. And he's very, very sharp. And so as a result of that, and Angelo Leo reminds me a little bit of Badou Jack, his approach to how he fights. But my thing anyway is this. Stephen Fulton, he knows, he's got confidence. He knows what he's got and what he's developing. And the critiques of Stephen Fulton that, for instance, Intangible gave, to me, were off the mark. All right. Defensively speaking, he's on point. But when it comes to fighting fighters who have a particular pedigree, we are yet to see Stephen Fulton come up to the table with that. But again, that's probably because he has to become world champion first. See, a lot of people don't realize some people get tested before they become world champion, depending on how long they're in the game. And other people, when they become world champion, that's when you really can begin to look to see how they were tested. And in the case of Stephen Fulton, he's actually been tested pretty good with young up and coming fighters like himself. So I'm not really worried about him. He's a Philly fighter on top of that, so we know he's tough. So looking at him, he has potential. We're going to see what happened to him in the next 5 years or so. But he has a lot of potential, Stephen Fulton. And I'm going to say this also to a lot of the people out there. He's a lot more than he looks like. He has a lot more than he looks like. I'm going to see. We're going to see. He reminds me a little bit of Joe Casamiro in his rough and rugged style. What I mean by that is he look like a guy that'll hit you low blow. He look like a guy that'll spit out his mouthpiece. Anything to break the rhythm. Here's a guest that's coming in here. Let's see who that is. And that's Intangible Boxing. What's up? Welcome, Intangible Boxing, to my stream. What's up, my brother?
What's good? Are we talking about Angelo Leo versus Stephen Fulton?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fight I'm really looking forward to, honestly, because I think it's a very close fight. I like Stephen Fulton's back foot game. I think he's very fast, very elusive. But I don't think he's the most crafty boxer in the world. I think he pulls back in straight lines, and he's susceptible to straight punches, especially if you start them off with a 1-2, or rather with a couple jabs. If you double up the jab and you follow it up with the straight right hand, he pulls straight back and he gets hit pretty easily. And if you're able to extend those shots, he can get hit. Angelo Leo doesn't do that as much. I think he underutilizes the jab. I don't think he uses it enough. I think he focuses a bit too much on trying to get inside and rough you up rather than what he's actually good at, which is he's pretty solid at mid-range counterpunching. When he lands his hooks clean, he can hurt you. But he's more interested in getting down to the body. So I'd have to favor Fulton in this fight, but I think it'll be a pretty relatively close fight.
Yeah, man. True Sports TV, he was the guy that I saw featuring the fight when it was brought up. But I don't think it's as close a fight like you're saying. I don't see Stephen Fulton actually moving back in straight lines. He actually moves off of angles. He does what we call wide pivots. You see Mayweather do it against Pacquiao. You saw it. I think that Stephen Fulton's experience, I think off the front foot, he's pretty good off the front foot as well. I saw him walk down certain fighters, and he did very good work going off the front foot. My thing is this. My thing is that Stephen Fulton is really battle tested already. He's fought some really good fighters coming up. I looked at the Adam Lopez fight where he tagged up Adam Lopez, and he actually fought a little bit on the inside. He don't usually fight on the inside. It's not that he don't have inside game, but I think he's developing his inside game. I think also fighting off the ropes, he kind of puts his two guard up and protects his whole body, and kind of bobs and weaves, or not bobs and weaves, but moves back and forward like this and rides the punches. Again, his defense is pretty tight, so I really like that as well. The double jab, and you know that Mayweather was susceptible to the jab as well. If you had a good double jab from low to high, but Stephen Fulton versus the kid before, the Asian kid,
Arnold
the
K.
southpaw. Sorry,
Arnold K. guy, I think that's his name. It is a Chinese guy.
Not Arnold K. guy. The other guy before him. You saw that fight?
Avalar.
It's a good fighter.
Yeah, I recently watched that fight. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm referring to, though, because when he was stepping back in straight lines, he was getting.
Hold up. Let me finish my thought, and then you can continue. My point is that with Avalar is actually catching him with the lead left, and he was catching with the lead left for about 2-3 rounds, and then he made an adjustment where he would change distance, so he would adjust his distance to deal with Avalar, because Avalar was doing some good work on him early, but then Fulton changed his game. You can see that in the early rounds, Fulton kind of figures out his fighters, but he changed his game up on Avalar, and that's how he made an adjustment to Avalar, and that's how he wasn't tagged by Avalar anymore. He was looking to see what Avalar brought to the table. But you go ahead and say your piece about the straight lines thing, because I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, but that's what I'm doing, though. He's sort of standing right in front of him, though. When he was pulling back in straight lines, I saw him sort of start to lose his balance and get hit with right hands. And sometimes he was pulling himself right back to the ropes, which allowed for Avalar to walk him down and get in, sort of attack him. And there are certain periods in the fight where he doesn't feint and doesn't really utilize a lot of craft. Other times he does, but I think it'll be a relatively tough fight. He's not a huge puncher per se. I think Angelo Leo will give him some issues, but I think Fulton will win relatively conclusively. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's early in his career, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I see a lot of good things with Fulton, because the other guy, True Sports TV, he was saying Fulton only has a jab, and I was like, no, my friend, no, this guy is special. Okay, and I look at him; he looks like he's battle tested as well. You can see he was brought up in a tough Philly environment where he got the heart, he got everything. But we'll see it in the future. But I can tell you right now, he's special. He's a special guy. And I like how he figures out fighters in the first 3 rounds. He's watching you, he's figuring you out. Because remember, Adam Lopez hurt him pretty bad in the opening rounds of their fight. And then coming down to the end, Adam Lopez was walking him down. But the final round of that fight, I think, the 10th round, I think it was, or the 8th round, I can't remember what it was. Adam Lopez was walking him down, and he
cut off. Guess your internet went out.
Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, you're back.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I kind of fell out. Yeah, he was walking him down. So it's not like I know it's a learning experience for
Stephen
Fulton. Yeah. And now they have the championship fight. So somebody's going to be the WBO bantamweight champion, right? Because Navarrete's gone. So he's getting his championship fight. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think Stephen Fulton should he should be able to control Angelo Leo if given. Angelo Leo is a good boxer, don't get me wrong. He's good. His inside game is really good. Like I said before, he reminds me a lot of Badou Jack, the way how Badou Jack would approach things. He does use his jab, but he doesn't use it. It depends on who he's facing. He'll use the jab. The only thing I have a problem with Angelo Leo, I guess he'll learn. It's a learning experience for him. Intangible Boxing says, at Texas Boy, what does autism make you unable to do? I don't know what that's about.
He,
But
he wrote a comment above that said autism is a disability, not a gift. I had
well,
a talk
okay,
with some guy on a panel that he was on, and yeah, and I personally have it myself. I was just wondering.
okay. Well, the first thing I wanted to just say about that is Texas Boy just been randomly saying things. I wonder if he was trolling me or what. A Texas Boy now comes on and say autism is a disability, not a gift. It's like, what does autism make you unable to do? I don't know. I think it's a gift. Asperger's is a gift to me because those I think people with Asperger's see the world so much differently to how we see it, or whoever. I don't even know what that means, but because everybody sees the world differently. But I think that people with Asperger's, I think, are even better in certain areas than people who don't have Asperger's. So I don't think it's a disability at all. I also don't think dyslexia is a disability either. I think that, anyway, I don't know why we talk about it. We talk about boxing, but anyway, I don't think that dyslexia is a disability in the sense that it's a different way of processing information and seeing the world. So some people can see things both ways. They can see it, mirror images of things, and they can therefore be able to see things that you and I wouldn't be able to see, and just resolve puzzles and resolve situations that other people just can't see. So I don't really see it as a problem. I just see it as a different way of seeing the world. I never saw it as an illness or something. I don't know why people come up with these ideas that it's something's wrong with you. If you look at, for instance, okay, I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, but if you look at hieroglyphics, if you look at pyramids and structures, I'm sure it's dyslexic people who actually designed these things because of the symmetry that was involved and the specific mathematics. Does that make them weird? Maybe we're the weird ones, and maybe they are the advanced ones. Who knows? That's just my perspective on that. But back to what we're talking about with Fulton versus Leo. I think that I'm not saying Leo won't have success. And the thing about Leo is he can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside, he can fight mid-range. He can do it. We've seen him do it all. So my problem with Leo, I was saying, was that Leo gets too excited. Like when he dropped his opponent, I forgot which guy it was, some French guy. He dropped the guy, and then he got so excited that he started throwing punches, and then he left himself open to get punched. That was a while back. It's a learning experience, and the guy was able to kind of not only survive but also be able to throw his punches at Leo and actually score on him. So I just hope that, it was a learning experience. Each fight is a learning experience for these fighters, so they would probably make adjustments to their previous fights and work on different things. But it's still something where I want to see what Fulton brings to the table. Leo, yes, but I think that Fulton should unanimously beat Leo in that fight like that. But as we're talking about upcoming fights and we're just talking all things boxing, intangible, what is the most anticipated fight you want to see? And let me hear your breakdown of Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr.
Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. I personally don't want to see that fight. I think it's pretty dangerous. Both men are in their 50s. Both guys have sort of that killer in them, and if they knock one another out, they're both old men. I don't like the risk there. I don't know who's going to. I think it would probably be Mike Tyson, although Roy Jones fought more recently. The fight I'm most looking forward to, though, however, is Rosario versus Charlo, personally.
Yeah, that's a good fight. There's a lot of fights to look forward to, but yeah, I don't agree with you with the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. I know it's not sanctioned, and there's a reason it wasn't sanctioned. I think that though Roy knows what he's doing in that ring. First of all, I watched Roy's last 3 fights, and Roy actually kind of improved his defense in those last 3 fights. So I'm kind of good. He didn't use his feet as much. I think he's going to have to use his feet a little bit more with Mike Tyson, especially in the first 3 rounds or 2 rounds. He's going to have to use his feet. And his movement. His movement is so unique to Roy Jones Jr., and he's just so good at doing it. I don't know if he'll have the energy to do it for 3 rounds. It depends on Mike. The problem with this thing, if I'm breaking it down, I'm thinking about it. Mike Tyson hasn't been in the ring in like how many years? since early 2000s, maybe. So he hasn't been in the ring for almost 20 years, man. You can't just come out and just perform at a high level after 20 years and not being in the ring. You know, George Foreman didn't just come out and start performing at a high level, you know, after so many years of not being in the ring. So Roy's been in the ring up to professionally, that is, up to 2 years ago. So Roy, and he's always stayed active since he's been out of the ring, you know, training fighters, etc. So I just don't see Mike Tyson's got to try and get that ring rustle off. He's going to have a lot of tenacity and energy, but as we all know, boxing is a sport which is shout out to Intangible. Boxing is a sport anyway that involves rhythm. It involves timing, and your time is going to be off. Your rhythm's going to be off. A lot of things are going to be off, and he's going to have to try and get those things back together. And Roy's going to have a less of a problem doing that than Mike Tyson would have. So just off of that alone, you know, I could see how Roy has a chance against Mike Tyson. I'm not saying that he would win. I'm not saying there's any winners. It's actually an exhibition, so I don't think they have judges. They're not judging the fight. It's not about who wins and loses. It's for the fans. It's entertainment. It's showcasing your skills. But I know these two guys are going to go at it like if it's a professional fight. But I just don't think that. There's a couple different things. I'm 45 years old, okay, and I know what I feel like. I know it's different taking punches. Mike Tyson hasn't really taken a lot of punishment. Neither has Roy, to be honest. He's never really been in a hard, grueling fight. He's been stopped. He's been knocked out. And the flaw in his game was because, you know, he wouldn't protect his left side, right? He keeps draw the two guard in, and then he come around and take him out, right? And I've seen him working on that now, even in fighting. He's worked on his infighting a bit. Not that that makes a difference with Mike Tyson, but but the point being that Roy is very much aware of his flaws, and he's also very much aware of what Mike Tyson brings to the table. And I believe Mike Tyson also knows that about Roy. So me personally, I'm looking forward to the exhibition match because I want to see guys like my age rumble it out. I've seen Julio Cesar Chavez, who's like 60 something, face Jorge Arce, and they went at it. Okay, they went at it hard. Ain't nobody got stopped, but some people was on the verge of getting stopped. Arce was on the verge of getting stopped a couple of times by Chavez. So, I mean, and these guys are training and they're really living the life. So I don't see why Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. can't go against the big names in boxing. And that's another reason. It's a pay-per-view. Mike Tyson's trying to launch off Legends Only League. I think he's going to be successful at it. And I think it won't be that. You see, the thing about this is there's not going to be no judges there. So that's what exhibitions are. Exhibitions are mostly about, well, you could have judges if you want. There's no weight class. There is no judges. You know what I'm saying? Exhibitions don't really go with that. But at the end of the day, it's just about showcasing your skills. That's why it's called exhibition. Will they go at each other hard? Hell yeah, they will. But it's not really about who really wins or loses. It's just about showing people what you bring to the table. And if somebody gets knocked out, somebody gets knocked out. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Roy gets knocked out. Okay. All right. He didn't suffer. He didn't take an excessive amount of brain damage. They always have they should have the paramedics and people on board for that fight. So I personally think that these guys should it's an exhibition. So they should be allowed to rumble, do their thing. And if it's successful, guess what? It sets up other exhibitions like that. And not only that, but as Mike Tyson was talking about in all sports, seeing these veterans do their thing and people paying for it and some of it going to charity for good cause and so on. Why not? And then Evander Holyfield was training for Mike. Maybe Mike could line up and face Evander, or Roy could line up and face Evander. Why not? I mean, it's good. It's good for the sport. All right. And a lot of people, I think, are kind of closed-minded to it. First of all, you got to understand these guys are professionals. I don't care what George Foreman says. I don't care what Errol Spence says. These are professional guys. They know the dangers of what they're going to do. And once you follow the rules and you stay within the rules of what you're supposed to do, you have a very good chance of coming out of that ring alive. Okay. Mike Tyson, of course, he will always feed off of he always uses his he always uses intimidation, right? So he would spice it up on ESPN by saying, one of the things that is just unsaid is you might leave that ring dead, you might leave the ring alive. Okay, and it's a reality. This is boxing. This is not you don't play this. So obviously that's a reality, but you can limit that reality. You can limit that possibility of happening. And these are smarter guys. These are older, smarter guys. And I think people they underestimate experience. These are guys who know their way around the ring. These are not guys who just picked up boxing gloves yesterday. Okay. And sometimes we need to respect that. If these guys are saying they're going to go in the ring and duke it out, respect it. Respect the hell out of it. 51 and 54. But 51 and 54 is not the same as 51 and 54 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay? It's not the same. Now we have stem cell therapies. We have chiropractic practices to loosen up the joints, to align the body better. We've got sports medicine to help these guys a lot. Yes, they've taken brain trauma by getting hit to the head, and it is dangerous, but they haven't been consistently taking brain trauma. And while getting hit in the head is not something you want to get hit in your elder age, what are you telling me about me? I'm going to get into professional boxing or amateur boxing. I'm going to get hit in the head. I've seen an 80-something-year-old man boxing and sparring. How is this guy doing it? How is he getting hit in the head and he's still healthy and he's still sparring and he's still boxing? So if you follow the proper precepts of boxing and you take care of your body, even under the stressors of taking damage over years, you can still live a long, pretty healthy life. I think of Jake LaMotta. He died at 80-something years of age. I think of Archie Moore. Took a lot of punishment in the heavyweight division, and he lived until he was 80-something years. Right? Charlie Burley lived almost till he was 90. How are these guys doing it? So if they could have done it in the past, we could do it too. Some guys fought until they were 50. Roberto Duran. Look at Roberto Duran. He of course, everybody, there's a price to pay when you have boxed and you've taken punishment to your body. That's just a fact. You're going to be, but you can minimize that price to pay. All right. And then Roy loves doing what he's doing. Tyson loves what he's doing. Why can't these guys showcase their skills, win, lose, or draw? And besides, let's say it's an exciting fight, right? Let's say those 8 rounds was exciting as hell, which I think they will be. It's just what it is. Okay. I saw Julio Cesar versus Jorge saying they're going to have a rematch very soon. It was exciting as hell. And let me just say, and remember, Jorge Cesar is a smaller guy than Julio Cesar Chavez. Okay. Chavez is much bigger. My point is this. If those fights, Eric Morales versus Mikey Garcia, we had these things, right? If these guys go at it, they're going at it. I don't know if they'll have headgear or not. I'm hearing there's no headgear, normal gloves. There's all kinds of rumors going around. But my thoughts on that issue is I think they're going to have some kind of headgear, and they probably going to have bigger gloves. Maybe not, but I would suspect that would be what the case is. Or maybe they will just do without the headgear, and they'll have bigger gloves. Maybe that's okay. Whatever it is, even if they have normal gloves, puncher's gloves, whatever. The point behind it is, for me personally, is to see these guys go in the ring and do it, and they enjoy themselves. This is about enjoying yourself now. If Mike Tyson feels like Mike Tyson, he's going in there, and even if you look at Mike Tyson when he was sparring on the bag with the little Pac-Man things, the small little hands, it was funny as fuck, man. And the point behind it is entertainment. So if these guys entertain you, then that's all you really want. Obviously, there's not going to be no script. They're going to go in there and duke it out for real. But at the end of the day, regardless, okay? And I see Mike Tyson smoking his joint. I'm not saying the joints are bad, but that smoke in your lungs don't help you no bit, okay? I'm just saying. But nonetheless, Mike looks great. And you know what's the point behind it? It's about being healthy, being fit. You know, we want to enjoy it. The beauty of boxing is enjoying it. See these old guys go out there and trash it down and come back out of the ring and feel alive. That's what I'm looking forward to. And people getting some excitement, seeing the glimpses of the old Mike Tyson that they used to see and seeing glimpses of the old Roy they used to see. That's what it's all about. I don't expect more from that exhibition. I don't expect these two guys to go in there like when they were in their 20s and destroy each other. This is not going to happen. They're 51 and 54, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be exciting though. All right. But it's not going to be, they're not 20 something years old. So you're not going to expect to see the 20 something year old. Are they going to bang on each other? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It won't be a fight if they don't bang on each other. And we will see what Mike Tyson brings to the table. If he brings something spectacular and knocks out Roy, then we want to see Tyson again. They show Roy as well, which is part of boxing. You get knocked out. Sometimes you get flatlined. You know, I was listening to again Michael, whatever his name is, Rosenthal, I think it is, Michael Rosenthal for the Ring magazine, and he was talking about, you know, how bad it looks on the lady who got knocked out by Sinesia Estrada. And he was talking about, you know, how it might affect her career. And I'm like, this is the boxing. This is boxing business. People get knocked out in the gym all the time. People get stopped in sparring. Okay. They do it like if, you know, at the height, at a certain level, you want somebody to push you. Sometimes you get flat line. Tyson Fury, you think he hasn't been dropped a number of times? He even knocked out? He's been knocked out in sparring, I heard before. Okay. It happens. It's part of the sport. Okay. Some people fortunate enough never to be knocked out ever in sparring or otherwise. But do you think sparring, you always get the best of your opponents? Of course not. You got to push yourself. And the only way to find the limit is to actually have something break. Okay? So at the end of the day, it's important. I've seen everybody talk about Mayweather. Well, guess what? Paul Sparta sparring gave him the work. He gave him the work. He was putting hands on him. Okay? I'm not saying he dominated Floyd or anything, but he gave him the work. Okay, Floyd was, after that, he just collapsed on the ground. It happens. All right, it happens. So let's get your ass whooping sparring, or you take a beating. You don't get your ass whooped necessarily, but you take a beating. That's part of boxing. Okay, it's part of boxing. All right. So, I mean, I have no problem with Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. I actually am for it. I'm excited about the fight. And it sounds strange because you'd be like, man, you don't want to take unnecessary punishment. Well, it's not unnecessary. You can make money off of that. You can raise funds for all kinds of things off of that. Why not? I'm not mad at it. With respect to some other fights that are upcoming, like Intangible talked about Charlo versus Rosario, Jason Rosario. And Jason Rosario is much more committed. We had an interview on the Boxing Voice, and I was listening to one of the coaches of Jason Rosario. And shout out to everybody in the chat area. Again, you can just hop on, be a guest on here. Intangible just popped in, popped out. Shout out to Intangible Boxing. Yeah. Rosario, Jason Rosario. What's interesting about that fight for me was that Jason Rosario, he literally was outboxing also J-Rock. He was outboxing J-Rock, putting in that work. And his trainer was saying how he had all the skill in the world, but in bad habits. He tried to cut corners in training. And that's how he encountered his first loss, was depending on his skill and his power and strength. And so now that he's putting in the good work after that loss, he got the results where he beat J-Rock, Julian Williams. Now, this fight with Jermell Charlo is going to be a good fight. It's a great fight, and it's one that's really highly anticipated. We don't know who's going to win that fight, right? And Jason Rosario, he can counter the counter, which is beautiful. So we'll see what really comes up, if Jason Rosario will be able to beat Jermell Williams or Jermell Charlo, or if Jermell Charlo will get the upper hand. You know, Jermell Charlo, as of late, has been going for power and stopping guys. His boxing has kind of suffered to a high degree. We'll see how it goes, though, with him, if he's going to box better or more, and how he's going to approach Jason Rosario. Of course, the situation you'll only know that when you encounter the situation, but it's a good fight. I know I was talking about Floyd Mayweather for something, but I can't remember what it was. We're talking about Mayweather and talking about how, you know, Black community doesn't support. I believe that the Black community supports Floyd Mayweather, especially on the issues of racism, where Conor McGregor was talking about, you know, how, you know, Floyd, he was calling Floyd a boy, and he was saying, you know, you people, and referred to them as lesser. I think that just like how Sergey Kovalev was very racist with Adonis Stevenson, I believe that there's certain people out here, they're not the majority of people, who are very racist. It is just what it is. And they feel themselves superior to other people. Or they may feel themselves inferior, and as a result, they throw these racist slurs. Just K, what's up? Salute. They put on a good show, but I think they'll have safety in mind. Absolutely. They're professionals. They're going to take the precautions that they need to take in the boxing ring. You know, Roy will take the necessary precautions, and Tyson will take the necessary. They're smarter. Like, people don't realize that Tyson and Roy are smarter fighters. You know, Tyson, you know, is a smart guy, period. Okay, because the idea he has is very smart, and it's going to be successful. And Mike Tyson's trying to launch something. Okay, so he's not going to look. He's smart enough to understand that he's not looking. He's looking to bring excitement to people. He's looking to show that the older guys can still do it. That's what he wants to do. And even the fact that Evander Holyfield's training, I hope Evander Holyfield keeps on training. Keep that training going, because fights are going to be lined up. And different people are going to want to pair off with each other people. So now, here's the most important part about that, right? I'm going to go back to the Mayweather thing in a minute. The most important thing about it is that now you have fighters fans who've been nostalgic for the past era, for the past legends, and they're big fans of them, who get to see them in action. Right? Even if the fight goes the distance with Roy and Tyson, for example, right? It goes the distance. But you saw Tyson do his thing in spots, and you saw Roy do his thing in spots. That's more than enough. And they had nonstop action from beginning to end. That's what you want. You want fights like that. You know, you want excitement. I know some of you guys are longing for that. You know, maybe not Tommy Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard, because Sugar Ray Leonard say, I ain't in that shit. He don't want to get hit anymore. He done. He's satisfied with boxing. You know, but you know, Layla Ali versus Ann Wolfe. We're talking if Ann Wolfe wanted. You know, a lot of still active, strong, young at heart people go back into the sport. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez is like 60-something years old, man, and he's still putting it down. Okay, so if he could do it, if Eric Morales could have done it with a young Mikey Garcia, even though that was more of an exhibition, but nonetheless, why not? Why not? It's better than them going into the ring with young, strong, hungry lions like a Deontay Wilder or a Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. We don't want to see that shit. But they all the same age, and they got that experience, and they came up together. Why not? Why not? You know, if you're gonna pair them off so there's an equal playing field. You know what I'm saying? Their reaction times will both have faded a bit, and so I don't see why that's a problem. You know, Just K. Shout out to Just K in the chat section, and remember, you guys can just click the link on top if you want to hop in as a guest right now. I got about 7 more minutes. I got so much to cover still. So with Mayweather, I think that the black community supported him on the racism that happened with Conor McGregor and with and even with the Sergey Kovalev thing, where we highlighted it, and we're going to continue to highlight those things. What I would say though is, and I was giving an example with Steve Fulton, is that I think because we got so many black special skill fighters, I think people undervalue them and underappreciate them. And then on top of that, it's more unique to see something special like somebody who's not black perform and do well. So I think people kind of throw it out of proportion. But on top of that, of course, there's racism in boxing, and that's a problem we got to deal with. But back to what I was saying about sports and so on, you know, Layla Ali looking to come back, and to see her training. I see her training. I don't know for what, but she's training away. And I like that. I like that Layla Ali's training. Maybe it's for the Clarissa Shields fight. Maybe she really is serious about that. We'll see. But what I do know is this Legends Only could go across many different sports, but most importantly, maybe she could perform in Legends Only against Ann Wolfe. Ann Wolfe could go and get a training regiment together, and they can do something inside the ring in an exhibition. You know what I'm saying? Because the nice thing about exhibitions is they're not limited to weight. You don't have to have judges. It's not limited to. Of course, you're gonna have a certain amount of rounds or whatever. So exhibitions can be another beautiful thing about boxing. What I was trying to say is we need to open our minds to boxing. We had the YouTube fighters on boxing. We've had professional, of course, professional fights with boxing. We've had exhibition fights with boxing. We see some nice big exhibition fights. We've seen crossover fights in boxing where MMA fighters have come across the boxing. Some of the greatest MMA fighters ever crossed over to boxing, did their thing. We had bare knuckle boxing where an MMA fighter beat a professional boxer who was once a two-time world champion. We've seen all kinds of things. And this is the beauty of boxing. And everything still circles around boxing. Everything. They're trying to say that, MMA right now and UFC is doing, doesn't. UFC has done so many great strides, especially in women's boxing. But let's just make it abundantly clear. Nothing tops boxing. Still to this day. That's why it's boxing, boxing, boxing. I don't care about WWE. I don't care about MMA. No disrespect to the MMA fighters. Do your thing. Make your money. But at the end of the day, boxing is the premier sport still. Okay? And that's sport. You know why it's so premier? Because it's so specialized. And there's so many different aspects to it and so many different styles in boxing. You gotta love it. And to me, it's more appeasing because people actually throwing punches, So talking about other events that happened, Gervonta Tank Davis. Anthony Peterson came out. I think it was on ESPN, Alex Sedgwick, and he was talking. And I like what he said. He said, I'm not really interested in the Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, like a fantasy matchup, who will win kind of thing. He said, that's the past. He said, I don't really care about Mayweather either, or Pacquiao. Well, he care about Pacquiao. The Pacquiao is still relevant. He said, the fights I really want to see. I want to see Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. I want to see Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. He want to see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. And I looked at him, I was like, yeah, those are great fights. We all want to see those fights. A lot of times we look at the past and we keep on reflecting on the past, and we overlook the present. And I've seen people many, many a time bad talk the present fighters. Okay? When Kirsten said in terms of who she thinks is probably our best fighters in the world today, she mentioned Terrence Crawford. She mentioned Coach Shelton Harris, Combat Sports, man. Man, MMA killing it. Love. Well, you're an MMA fan. I don't really care about MMA like that. So, MMA doing okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. I care about boxing. And when boxing comes back, if you look at the biggest fights in sports today, they're all in boxing. Hop on, Coach Shelton Harris. My link is up on top if you want to talk a little bit. Check out Coach Shelton Harris's channel. Coach Shelton Harris Combat Sports. George Shelton Harris, sometimes he kind of loses the luster and the love for boxing. But boxing, man, boxing's here to stay, baby. And you know that. I'm not really an MMA person. I don't like the grappling on the ground. Jiu-jitsu grappling is cool, but nah, that's just not my thing. Kickboxing is cool too, but nah, not really. I like boxing. And I have a passion for it. And Coach Shelton Harris, he kind of lost his passion a bit. I understand why, But I'm gonna tell Coach Shelton Harris, you're gonna get the fights that you want to see. Coach Shelton Harris, I got a question for you. See, that's why I want you to jump on, just to ask you a couple questions. Are you excited for the fact that Deontay Wilder will be facing Tyson Fury probably before the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year? Are you excited for the Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez fight? And Loma is a bad boy, right? That's what Anthony Peterson was talking about. Anthony Peterson might be coming back at 140, and we're going to see what he can do at 140, right? We got Tank versus Leo Santa Cruz. And a lot of people are counting Leo Santa Cruz out. They feel that Leo Santa Cruz is straight up and down, and the Tank's just going to blow through him. Now, Tank got incredible ability and skills, but the discipline, ladies and gentlemen, the discipline. Like Anthony Peterson said, Tank could easily blow past Mayweather in terms of all accomplishments in boxing. We're talking pay-per-view. He's set up to blow all pay-per-view records because he got that knockout. He got the skills too. Tank got it all. The problem with it is Tank ain't staying disciplined. What the hell are you doing at 165 when you should be somewhere down at 130, 135? What the hell are you doing blowing up so big between fights? And That's the problem with Tank. I'm not saying if Tank is that big, then then go up to 140, go up to 150. Say I grew this weight class. But don't be unprofessional, not making damn weight and making weight at the last time. I listen to Truck. Truck is smart guy, disciplined guy, you know. Anthony Peterson constantly tells this, and he's trying to send a message to Tank. Errol Spence hopefully got that message, but Tank ain't getting the message that your extracurricular activities, the activities outside the ring, can mess up your life inside the ring if you're not disciplined, you know. And I don't know if Tank understands that. I don't know if Tank gets that, you know, because I still see Tank coming into gyms big as hell. I don't want to cuss, but he's massive, and I don't understand why Tank should be so big. Why are you not regulating yourself? Pulling a Roberto Duran on us. You know what I'm saying? Good life. You settled. So now you big as hell. You know, and had guys like Teofimo Lopez and Rolly Romero clung in his ass. You know, and you can see Teo don't really want to clung him. He's like feeling sad for him. He's like, Tank, what are you doing so big, boy? What are you doing so big? And Teo is a huge lightweight. But Teo know how to regulate his weight. And his father be making sure he regulates his weight. You know them boys like food. I don't understand. How can you do that? Tank, you're not even big like Teo. You're not tall like him. You don't even have that bone structure. What are you doing eating that Adrian Broner diet? You gotta chill, Tank, or burn that shit off somehow. But that's his downfall. So he can't have the stamina. He can't have the endurance. He's too fucking big. By the time he makes weight, by the time he comes down in weight, by the time Tank comes down in weight, he gonna lose energy. You know, he gonna lose energy because he's gotta lose all that weight. He gotta do fat camp all the time. God damn it, Tank. So that's why Tank versus Leo Santa Cruz. I can see Leo Santa Cruz pulling off a win in that fight. It's possible because Tank don't take care of himself. Tank don't take care of himself. Skill-wise, Leo have nothing to Tank. Endurance-wise, conditioning-wise, Leo got it all. And that might be the difference because it's not always skills that win you fights. You know, Leo's conditioning is incredible. So that's where if you ask me to pick between the two, I'm gonna say Leo shocks everybody and beats Tank because Leo will be at a weight class he's comfortable in. He don't have to force himself to make weight for that class. On top of that, he's gonna be in shape and in condition to deal with a Tank for 12 rounds. Tank, on the other hand, you know, I don't know, man. He got all the skill in the world, got the size advantage, gonna have the power advantage, but it's whether he can make the weight and what it will take for him to make the weight. Because he didn't look so good against Yuriorkis Gamboa because he had to make the weight, you know? And Tank sometimes wait the last minute to lose the weight. He don't lose the weight properly. So, and he don't help himself by being so big all the time. Devin Haney, very disciplined guy, again, huge lightweight. These guys are big lightweights. Devin Haney easily could go up to 147 tomorrow. Okay. Teofimo Lopez easily could go up to 147 tomorrow. Okay, these guys are big dudes. They walk around 160, 160 plus, you know, but they don't keep themselves at 160, 160 plus. Teofimo, he already got down to what would he say he was? It was 140 or something like that. He was walking around 140 something, right? You know, so I mean, that's the problem with these dudes. These dudes, you know, even throwback fighters, we've seen this story. I mean, not with Sugar Ray Leonard so much and Sugar Ray Robinson so much, but really skilled guys, really good fighters. We're listening to the trainer today, talking about it'll come to me. Very skilled, very good Dominican Republic fighter. It's coming to me. His name's popping in and popping out, right? It'll come to me, right? The dude couldn't make weight. Guzman, Juan Guzman. Okay. Juan Guzman could not make weight. That was the problem with him. Undefeated for a very long time until he first Alec Berdiev at 140, right? Dominant world champion. You can't be doing that. That's unprofessional. Not only is it unprofessional, but in addition to that, you're talking about the fact that that's going to hurt you in your fights. You know what I mean? Going on to some more stuff, man. We're talking about fights and upcoming fights and boxing in general. I wanted to mention a couple points, and y'all guys can hop on them with this one if y'all so wish. A lot of people using Mayweather's name, and there's a number of things that Mayweather did that people over exaggerate. First of all, okay, they over exaggerate. So let me just set the record straight on that first before I go on to that. So the first thing is people talk about how Mayweather 50-0, and he fought 24 world champions, and how he was a guy who dominated everybody, and he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Listen. Let's just shut the record straight or something. Mayweather can never be the greatest of all time. It's just what it is. Maybe for you as a fan, he could be the GOAT in your mind, and it's okay. But to most people, he's not. And the reason why greatest of all time, it's like talking about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. It's just what it is. Okay? He's not the best heavyweight of all time, but he's definitely the greatest heavyweight of all time. One of the greatest. Okay? If not top two, probably top three. Okay? Why? As you can see, when Mike Tyson said he was coming back, that shook the whole world. Not just the boxing world, the whole world suddenly paid attention to that. So his popularity is one thing that makes him great. Second thing that makes him great was the fact that he had a record of getting guys out of there fast. Just getting them out of there. Boom, 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 like lightning. Okay? And that's a reputation that's not going to change anytime soon. Okay? So that Mike Tyson is great because of his impact on the boxing world, shocked everybody, just how he was mowing through everybody that was at the top in his sport at the time. Okay? For that reason, people still esteem Mike Tyson above Evander Holyfield, Alex Lewis, above guys like George Foreman, who did some phenomenal shit. He's rated above guys like Riddick Bowe, above guys like Vitaly Klitschko, the Southpaw kid, who George Foreman knocked out, Michael Moore, okay, Evander Holyfield. He's rated above those guys. Okay, the world knows the name Mike Tyson. All right, you say Mike Tyson anywhere in the world, people know who that is. Damn, you're not going to get Lennox Lewis all over the world. You're not going to get Vladimir Klitschko all over the world. You're not going to get George Foreman all over the world. People will be like, I heard that name before, right? And they always associate with Ali and his whooping of George Foreman. If you say Muhammad Ali, everybody in the world knows who that is. He's been dead now a couple of years. Everybody knows who Ali is. That's what makes you great. Makes you great because you could pass away and generations and generations and generations of people will know your name and what you did. That's great. Now, when we're talking about technically speaking and from a boxing perspective, Muhammad Ali is not the best to do it. All right? Muhammad Ali's not the best to do it. Mike Tyson's not the best. Okay? From a boxing perspective. So you can have guys that did more, had better records, had a better career, had better skills. but it will never surpass Muhammad Ali's name. Everybody know it. They'll never surpass Mike Tyson's name. Everybody knows it. Not only because of what they've done in boxing, but also how they promoted their brand. So, Mayweather is a name in boxing. It won't go on all the way through. Yeah, it will go on and on and on. But Mayweather's name does not surpass Muhammad Ali's name and will not surpass Mike Tyson's name. Even though people in the world today know Mayweather's name, and it will go on and on and on. His name is not as great and doesn't carry as much weight as Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. It's just what it is. All right? And I think one of the major reasons that is so is because Mayweather was in the heavyweight. You know, the biggest weight class in boxing is heavyweight. Right? The biggest fights you can ever have in boxing usually come from heavyweight, not from the smaller weight classes, not from the little guys. Sugar Ray Leonard did it. Oscar did it. Then Roy was a little bit bigger, but Roy did it. And he went up to heavyweight too. Right? But people don't always, when people think of boxing, they think of heavyweight boxing. So it's Holyfield and Razor Ruddock and Merciless Ray Mercer and Tommy Morrison and Frank Bruno and so on and so on. Right? That's what they think of. They think of heavyweights, 6 foot something, really putting it down. Don't think of the little guys. We're considered the little guys. Zach, dude, I'm really struggling. RN, I need someone to talk to. Zach. CS Combat Sports and be waiting for your stream. I can catch live. Hey, man, look, you can jump up on the screen. Stream, Coach Shelton Harris. Love to have you on. Just go up to the top. You'll see, here's the link to the chat. Click on that, and you can become a guest on my stream, man. Zach, what's up, bro? You said you're struggling. You need someone to talk to. About what, bro? About what? We're talking boxing here. You know anything about boxing? All right. So, and Zach, shout out to you, brother. They got some trolls on here, though. Yeah, all right. So, going back to what we're saying, you know, so Mayweather is not the greatest of all time, okay? He's not. Coach Shelton Harris in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, what's going on?
I'm good, man. And you and yourself? How you making it in this COVID environment?
Oh, sorry, man. Been working out, man. Like I've been. Hello?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, brother. I've been working out a whole lot, man. I've been working out, man. That's all I've been doing and keeping my same routine so I don't contract it. But you know, keep your immune system good though, man. You know, it'd be hard to get it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. You know, in this environment, it kind of allowed me to do a lot more gardening. So I go in the back of the house and I do a lot of gardening. I actually started planting my own food. So I've been able to actually use the time to sort of become more self-sufficient. So I don't have to go to the store and buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah, man. God, you smart guy, man. You're a smart guy. Hey, but you know what I've been doing, man? I've been doing, every day, if I have to be outside, I make a sauna. I make me a self sauna, man. And I just sit in it, man, and it, hey, release a lot of toxins, man. People don't know, man, that self sauna help with this thing, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's make a self sauna in my own bathroom, man. Let the shower just kind of get hot, let the room steam up, just sit in there.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
It worked.
It's really hot down here. I'm in the Caribbean, in Trinidad. Right tonight, it's really hot. Yeah. I have a fan on. I don't use air conditioning. We have air conditioning in the house, but I don't use it. So I open up the windows, like the whole entire house. The windows are all open, and I gotta watch out for robbers, thieves. But I leave the place open, so there's at least breeze flowing. Outside is much cooler. been raining and stuff, but it's very, very hot down here. I mean, ridiculously hot. Like you may drink like 3 glasses of water, go outside, and you vaporize all that water off your body. It's gone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely gone. Man, I do miss boxing.
Well, that's
man.
good, man. That's good, man. I want to talk a little bit of boxing, man. But of course, if you want to, because you are Coach Shelton Harris,
Yes, sir.
we could talk combat sports too. But I'm not going to be able to contribute much because I don't know too much about MMA or even wrestling. I haven't been following either. But when it comes to boxing, you know, love boxing, so I've just been following it rigorously.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
talk boxing, man. Let's talk boxing.
So I'm talking about Mr. Mayweather. Okay, I respect the guy. I respect him a lot. There's a lot of things people overlook, but in terms of him being the greatest, come on, man. Tell me your take on that.
I don't think he's the greatest to ever do it. I don't think he is. I think he's good. Now, if you want to argue and say, hey, he's the best defensive fighter to ever do it, yeah, okay, I could agree with that, but not the best. Not the best because you're forgetting about other guys, man, that's done it. That is the best. You talking, Ali, he fought them wars, and then you got Floyd Patterson, shoot, Sonny Liston, all them damn greats, man. You had Ernie Shavers. I mean, these guys are fighting wars in the ring. Larry Holmes. There's a lot of people you can't forget about, man. Hell, Leon Spinks, Michael Spinks. I mean, there's so many people, man, that I feel like that they're more accomplished than Floyd Mayweather. Now, Floyd is accomplished though. He's an Olympian. He 50-0. All of the above. But I don't know. I don't think he's more accomplished than other fighters. There's been a lot of even Sugar Ray Leonard, man. Sugar Ray Leonard, Felix Trinidad. You got all these different fighters, man, that they fought wars in there, man. They fought wars, and then they were in an era, man, where these people, they wanted to fight each other. They did. Even B-Hop, man. I mean, did you see the stuff B-Hop was doing in his 50s? Bernard Hopkins. The stuff he was doing, man, he was taking these young dudes, and he was 50 plus years of age, man. And he was schooling these young boys. Schooling them, taking them to school, man. I mean, do you remember the B-Hop and John Pascal, man, trilogy, or those fights? Legendary, man. I know he lost to Kovalev, man, but he was really, really, at that age where it was time to retire anyway. So I give him that, man. And he lost to Joe Smith Jr. But by then, B-Hop, really it was time for him to retire, just go and hang up his gloves. But man, it was exciting watching this guy do things and calling out these young fighters, man. Like B-Hop was he's showing these young guys how to do it. He wanted Kovalev. B-Hop wanted all the smoke with Mr. Kovalev. I said, dang, B-Hop. And he did it, man. So yeah, man. Boxing ain't going nowhere. It ain't. It really is.
That's what I'm saying.
It ain't going nowhere.
What do you think of I mean, I can't help it, but what do you think of Roy Jones Jr. versus Iron Mike Tyson?
I'm gonna tell you why I'm for it. The reason why I'm for it, okay, these guys now, they're very reluctant to fight each other. Whatever the reasons is, they're very reluctant. Mike Tyson just called up Roy. Hey, Roy, listen, man, you want to fight? Roy said, let me tell you what I think. Yeah, let's fight. See, if two fighters want to fight each other, they'll fight. If two fighters don't want to fight, somebody don't want to fight. See, it was that easy. Mike and Roy made the fight, and they're showing these young guys, look, this is what you do. If you want to fight somebody, this is what you do, okay? Make it happen. And I talk about them, I mean, what's the use in talking about, Wilder? What's the use in talking about Wilder, Joshua? These two, they were supposed to have been fighting since 2016. We didn't get to see that fight. Crawford and Spence. For whatever reason, we didn't get to see that fight, and that's a fight that I really want to see, that. Or, even Porter Crawford, I could take that. I want to see that Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Vasily Lomachenko. I want to see Devin Haney versus Tank Davis. Man, do you know how many matchups, man, that we could be getting that would be just beautiful fights? And it's like, man, we chopping it to bit, man. We want these fights so bad, we can't stand it, man. I mean, I'm sitting here like, man, I'm sitting here thinking of the day that them fights will happen. And I'm hoping, man, that I don't get to 50 by then. I'm 44 now. I'm hoping, damn, hope I don't turn 50 by the time we get these fights, man. Because I really, those are the fights. But Spencer Crawford, that's my number one. That's my number one fight that I want to see. And I want to do it before them guys. Crawford, he's approaching being out of his prime. He's approaching that. He's getting there. He's still, pretty good. He still moves, got his legs. But see, I don't want to have Terrence Crawford be 35, man, trying to fight Errol Spence. I want them to fight while Crawford's still in his prime.
I agree 100% with you on that. That it's kind of, the age. Let me just be honest with you. Being in your prime is kind of overrated now because you see that the sports science, the medication. I mean, you talked about Bernard Hopkins. How about Juan Manuel Marquez? 38 years old, knocked out Manny Pacquiao.
Oh yeah.
36 years old, beat a young Juan Diaz. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Marquez was an incredible phenom in and of himself. But I would say that you're right about one thing, that you really don't want people saying, oh, well, it wasn't in their primes, that kind of rah. You want it to be kind of clean cut where you say, hey, look, this guy faced this guy and they didn't wait it out. They went at it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Shout out to Get This Smoke, Holy Inferno, and Zach. Zach just said, I know Mike Tyson is fighting soon. That should be good. So I'm happy for you, Zach. We just talk boxing on this channel, Zach. Holy Inferno. No, Mayweather is not the greatest ever. I agree. I don't think he's the greatest for slightly different reasons to Coach Shelton Harris. I think his resume is crazy. I'll talk about that some other time. Holy Inferno said that, and I do not think he's the greatest, though. I think he's if he made the claim that he's the best ever, I agree with that. Back it up. I could show you why a fighter would say something like that. I also think other people like Lennox Lewis can make that claim because Lennox Lewis, again, he beat everybody in his era. So I could see why he could say that. Because if you clean out your era and you beat everybody in your era, everybody, you got a claim to being the best ever. You definitely do. Because you show you were the best in your era. So why not be best in other eras? You can make that claim. It's not provable per se, but you can make the claim, I think. Shout out to Texas Boy. I said Mayweather is like Holyfield and Pacquiao was like Tyson. All right. Yeah. I can see that. Well, interesting. Get This Smoke says, peace, everybody. So shout out to Coach Shelton Harris. Again, you guys, if you want to hop on here, Get This Smoke, you want to hop on here, Holy Inferno, you want to hop on here, I can take on 2 more guests. We're talking just basic boxing, and we're just breezing out here. Coach Shelton Harris is a guest here on the program. I'm so honored to have you, sir. And we're just talking boxing right now. Anticipated fights is where we're at right now, talking about some of the fights that get our juices going, and some of the fights that yet to be materialized. We're talking the lightweight division is flaming hot. The super middleweight division has all these young upcoming champions. It's flaming hot itself. We'll see how that sorts itself out. Of course, we got the middleweight division with 2 key middleweights, and we got some fights that are coming up. So let me ask you this, Coach Shelton Harris. Do you know anything about Jason Rosario and Jermell Charlo? They're about to face each other. Rosario was the guy that knocked out J-Rock, who was the unified WBA, the IBF world champion, I think it was. And I think Jermell Charlo right now is the WBC.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. I know about Jason Rosario, man. Good fighter, man. I think Jermell Charlo, I think he's a bit too strong for him, man. He's just a big, strong, aggressive guy. Rosario, though, his hands are very, very fast, man. Got good, fast hands. And again, got decent power. And the dude got a nice chin on him, man. But I don't know. I think Charlo's he's just stronger, man. And I think he's a naturally bigger fighter. Because, he Charlo cuts a lot of weight to get down to his fighting weight. Cuts a lot of weight. So, of course he's going to hydrate, man. He's going to be bigger than Rosario. But it's going to be a good fight, though. I know some people writing off Rosario. it's gonna be a good fight, and it's gonna be competitive, I think.
Well, shout out to Get This Smokers jumped on the program here. Again, acknowledging Coach Shelton Harris. I never really thought about it. I never thought that's true. Jamel Charlo is like 170 something walking around. So he is a big dude. But Rosario looks like a big, strong dude too. You mean the way how he treat J-Rock, but you got a point though, that Jamal Charlo is bigger and stronger, and he is a guy that would look to go toe to toe with you and try to knock a fighter out. So yeah. I got you. Get This Smoke. As you can see, you are in the foreground.
Did we lose it?
Oh.
Okay, cool. Oh, I thought I wasn't sure who had the dogs. I guess it was What You Need.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just fell off.
Oh, there you go.
I can hold two people. Okay, we're good. All right, good.
Yeah, you got a lot of you got a. It sounds like you got a pack of dogs in the background.
Oh, me? No, not me.
Yeah, now is What You Need, and now he's gone on mute. I just want to say what's up. Ben. I want to just say peace to the coach. I used to catch you on the Smoke City Mobcast years ago. So yeah, it's a pleasure being on the panel with you.
Yeah, sorry about that with the dogs.
We're gonna talk boxing with you too, bro. I can't wait.
Yeah, so talking about that, you just talked about Coach Shelton Harris just talked about possible matchups we could get, which we are not getting so far. And one was Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. And Terrence Crawford's like, what, 33 right now? 32, yep. 33?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that no excuses happen with that fight. So that nobody says, oh, well, Terrence Crawford was past his prime or Errol Spence was past his prime. When do you guys want to see that fight happen?
Man.
Yeah, the next 12 months, maybe 8 months.
About 4 months from now. Give him a decent training camp. 16 weeks. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd rather these guys fight sooner than later.
I agree with you.
I feel like I think it starts to lose its I think it starts to lose its competitive the level of this competitive level in probably like a year and a half kind of thing. But yeah, I'd like to see it sooner than that. But the other thing, like Green Machine, when he dropped Terrence, it kind of like stuff like that takes the luster out of the imagination for people. But I still think it's a good fight because I think it's a good style matchup, right? And also they're both proficient operators in there, so I think both guys I think will gain some. They'll be. I don't know that Terrence is learning, but I think that he has some things that he can work on before he steps into the ring with Spence, especially his temperament, and his patience, right? But yeah, I'm good. I think he'll still be they'll still be able to compete at the same level that they would compete now in the next like year and a half kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that fight really needs to pick up because what Coach Shelton Harris said is a very good point. You don't want anybody making excuses because what happened when, especially a guy like Mayweather, was a lot of people say, well, he faced fighters out of their prime, and that's the thing that they hold over him now because they really got nothing else to say about it. So you don't want it to happen to Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford, because well, particularly Terrence Crawford. I think Errol's like what, 31, 32 years old, But I think that one thing I want to say, for those people who know boxing, experience plays a major key. So, for example, Mike McCallum versus James Toney. Mike McCallum's experience, even though he was 35 years old, was what kind of held him through a draw against the skilled James Toney. So I think people kind of underestimate experience of fighters. That's why with Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., I believe that those two fighters are so experienced now that it would be really good and entertaining to see them in the exhibition, because I think a lot of people underestimate that these guys are very smart and very experienced, But anyway, we're going on to the topic, which would be, I'm going to talk about women's boxing. Now, somebody clear this up for me, though. Is Amanda Serrano facing Katie Taylor, or is it Persoon who's facing Katie Taylor?
Shoot, I think it's Serrano.
Nah, Serrano, I think, fell through, and I think they were making the Pursoon fight. That's the last thing I heard.
Oh, okay. So it was Amanda Serrano first, and then something happened to Serrano, right?
Something to do with negotiations.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn asked for his money back for her training fees. They wanted her to take a pay cut, basically, because of COVID, and she was like, you already were underpaying me. I'm not interested in any pay cut," and I guess they moved on. And now they're suing Amanda Serrano to get their like $10,000 back for, they gave her for their training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think getting that back.
I think that even if Serrano fight is not on, I think the Pursoon fight is pretty good as well. So Katie Taylor versus Pursoon as a rematch is good. I think that what's her name? McCaskill and the welterweight champion. The welterweight champion of the world.
Okay. Brackets.
Cecilia Braekhus, yeah. That fight also was supposed to happen. I saw Katie Taylor beat McCaskill. I don't see why Braekhus can't do the same, but I mean, it's what should I say about that fight? I think I'm more excited about the Pursoon versus Katie Taylor fight than that fight, but you never know. McCaskill comes with something new.
Pursoon can fight. That German girl can fight.
Yeah, she she can. I'm looking forward to that fight more than the Pursoon versus not Pursoon, McCaskill versus
Braekhus. Yeah,
I'm forgetting her name. Cecilia Braekhus. What do you guys think? Do you think that Cecilia Braekhus? I mean, she is a veteran of the sport. She's been around for a while. Do you think that Cecilia Braekhus could go up to 154, face, say, for instance, Claressa Shields, or do you think that she's kind of a little too old for that? What do you guys think about
it? Here's on my thing with Cecilia Braekhus, and I was vibing with her, man, until she did something. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? So she tells Chris Cyborg in MMA, "Hey, Chris, I'll fight you." Okay, now MMA fighters, they're not boxers. Okay, let's just put it out there. They're not boxers. Okay. Of course, we know that the boxer is going to have the advantage, okay? Because boxers, they specialize in going 12 rounds. They know how to place punches, where MMA fighters, they don't really do it as well as boxers do. So she called out Chris Cyborg for a money bag fight. And Claressa Shields said, listen, we can meet at a weight. We can agree upon a weight, but Claressa said, I can get down to 154. And if I have to struggle to get to 147, I'll try to do whatever I can to fight you. Okay. Look, it seemed like Cecilia Braekhus don't want no smoke with Claressa Shields. Okay. That's just what it seemed like to me. And I know like getting down to 147 for Claressa Shields, it's going to be damn near impossible because she's a big girl and she walk around heavy, But she said she'd be willing to try to figure out what she need to do to get down. She said, look, if I got to get a nutritionist, I'll figure it out. She said, but you and me, we need to fight. Because that's a super fight in boxing right there. But, I think Cecilia Braekhus can go up, okay, if she want to get a super fight. I'm a Chris Cyborg fan, but, damn it, come on now. Come on. I'd rather see her fight Claressa Shields than fight Chris Cyborg. That's just me.
Of course. A more legitimate fight than a Chris Cyborg fight would be good. I would say, Cecilia Braekhus has been around for a while. Of course, there's the new cat on the block, new blood. So I could understand Cecilia Braekhus not wanting any of that smoke at all because one, Chris is bigger than her. Two, she's younger than her. You know what I'm saying? It's like a double whammy. It's like, okay, there's risk versus reward. Now, let me tell you something though. I bet you if Claressa lands $1 million deal where she's paying $1 million, and Cecilia Braekhus can see that dough, she's gonna go after Claressa because it's always risk versus reward. So I can see how, Cecilia could see a big payday. Oh yeah, I can get paid and I can lead the sport. Sure, hell yeah, because he's kept that oath for such a long time. Now it's time for her to how do I say, when you become a veteran of the sport, now you're looking for those paydays. You're looking for that. That's why I could understand her going after, say, for instance, Chris Cyborg versus Carissa Shields, because the risk versus reward. I get paid Cyborg's a big name, MMA fans, etc. I get paid some money. My risk is less. My reward's pretty big. You know, a lot of people don't realize in boxing, this has been so since forever. Risk versus reward. You know what I'm saying? So she being in the sport so long, she won her payday. She won a payday. She didn't want to go face a young, hungry lion for no reason. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's really going on there. With respect to Celia Brækhus, I can respect that. She an old dog, you know, she's still in the game. She's been able to beat whoever they put in front of her. So I can kind of respect it. It's not, to me, you know, I mean, Cecilia's in a different era to, how do I put this? Cecilia is of a certain time, even though she is facing McCaskill. She's of a certain time before Carissa. So that's how I look at it, you know. But I'm not encouraging ducking. I'm just saying that, you know, it's like a lose situation. It's not a win-win. There's no wins in there. If you could just find one win for her to be able to go in for that fight. But, you know, Carissa doesn't earn that much. They don't earn that much to really make that a win situation for her. If Carissa was making a lot of money, that'd be a win situation. Of course, she would go for that fight for the money, and not just for the money, but just, you know, the other things that go along with it. If she beat Carissa, then she make even more money. You know what I mean? So that's where it's a win. I gotta mute my mic because the dogs are just behaving crazy right now out there for no reason at all. They were very quiet and they just started behaving really nuts. So I don't know why that's happening. But you guys, just wanted to ask that question. I don't want to ask another question. That championship.
If I can, I'd like to cook on that just a little bit. Hey,
sure.
You know, the Cyborg fight. First off, if the money's at 154, she needs to figure out how to get there. That's A. And then B, the Cyborg fight. I think Cyborg still may be the biggest name in women's combat sports right now. You know, Amanda Nunes knocking her out definitely like took the shine off of it. I'm not sure what's going on with Nunes now. I've seen her look a little bit out of shape and do some commercials, so I'm not sure where her head is. But if I am Brækhus's, if I'm Cecilia's manager, I'm trying to get the Cyborg fight first, right? And then do with some Carissa Shields, or maybe a Cyborg and Nunes fight, right? Something that, you know, could pad my pockets a little bit, add my profile to go out into the sunset against Carissa Shields, because there's just nobody in her, you know, in her weight classes that have the stature, that are going to bring her the money, that are going to add to the legacy that she's already built for herself.
Well, I'll tell you
exactly. I agree 100%.
I'll tell you this: the only way that Amanda Nunes says she'll box, she put it out there, man, because I guess she's trying to deter these boxers from calling out. She said, "Hey, it's gonna cost y'all $5 million to do it." That's what she said. And she was straight up. She said, "Hey, if y'all want to fight me, y'all come to MMA. Or, you know, if you want me to box, then it's worth $5 million."
Does Amanda Nunes have $5 million worth of fights in UFC?
Yeah, she does. Well, she does. When she fought Ronda Rousey, she made about $2 million. You know, after she got doing pay-per-views, and then when she fought Holly Holm, she made about $800,000, and of course pay-per-views.
No, yeah, I don't mean her past fights. I mean looking forward. Looking forward into what the UFC, the landscape of her division that she fights in is UFC. Is there $5 million worth of fights ahead of her? Yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely. It is. The thing of it is though, what she's saying is, I don't want to box. Okay, that's what she's saying. And the only way I box is if I get $5 million. So, and basically, you know, she's telling the boxers, don't call her out. If you want to fight, come to MMA. That's her thing. So basically, she respects boxers. Like, look, I'm not going to get in there with Carissa Shields and box. I get my ass kicked. That's what she said. She said no. She said, come to MMA. And then she said, I'll wrestle the shit out of her and I'll submit her. That's what Nunes said. So, you know, somebody like Nunes.
I hear Carissa Shields.
But Carissa Shields is already a big girl. What about a smaller girl in Brækhus coming up?
She can do that. I mean, I don't see
You
what
mean
the rest-
box breakers?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cecilia, like Clarissa, they're around the same size, so the disciplines matter. But you can, it's not like Nunes doesn't have hands, and she's a naturally bigger person. But yeah, if you're saying she respects the craft like that, then I get
Yeah,
it.
and
I
then you
mean,
gotta understand too.
it's a great way to approach, like, I'll get in the ring if you pay me enough. But basically, you're pricing yourself out of the fight. You price yourself out of the sport, really. I don't. Do women make $5 million in boxing?
I mean,
No.
no. I think that's why she was saying it. See, you gotta understand, Nunes started out as a she started out being a high level jiu-jitsu practitioner. So she learned how to use her hands, but man, she's not a master boxer. Like you put her in a boxing ring, and somebody like she'll go in there, she'll go in there and get bad. She'll go in there and get destroyed, and she knows she will. That's why she said it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that. I mean, she is an MMA fighter. She's not trying to do any crossovers anytime soon. So she respects the sport. I again, risk versus reward. I mean, if she said, if we're gonna do this, you're gonna have to pay me. My risk must be worth my reward. I got to get something out of this. I respect that.
See, I could. All right, so I don't know how much his money is in a Cecilia Breakers fight. It seems like you'd have to. It seems like you'd have to do Cyborg first, right, and sort of build up the profile. I don't. It's hard to say. Like, but if you could get $1 million, would Amanda Nunes basically have a spar session with Breakers? Because Breakers, she's a good fighter. She knows how to play shots, but she's not. She's not the most powerful fighter. She plays. She's more like of a master boxer kind of thing. I don't know.
The thing about it is, though, think about this, right? Mayweather's not a big knockout artist. He knocked out Conor McGregor.
But he also knocked out other people.
Background.
But Mayweather's knockout and Cecilia Breakers knockout are not the same at all. Like, Mayweather can knock you out. He just, he prefer to point you. But if you piss him off, if you do something, he'll put that stick to you.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you're going to take an L, you want to take an L that, you remember, you built your career over so many years to get to a certain point. So that's why we talk about risk versus reward. If you're going to take an L, pay you for taking the L. That's all I'm saying. Because if you're going into something that somebody's really good at, it's like saying Cecilia Bracker is going to just jump into the octagon and take on Amanda Nunes. Well, make it worth a while, because she knows she's going to more than likely lose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what does it matter if your boxing record is 1-0? I mean, 0-1, right? It's your boxing record. It has nothing to do with your MMA record, really. I don't know, but I could definitely understand. If you don't want to do it, then you just don't want to do it, and you can price yourself out of it. And also, you may not want to lose focus because you have to train for a completely disciplined and different sport and all that. You may take away from your career, especially if her career has a bunch of lucrative fights in the UFC or in MMA in general. It seems like it's more of a distraction than a boon. There's no reward outside of a financial one, and it seems like even the financial one isn't high enough.
So I'm gonna tell you something.
Exactly. And then you remember, if you're in a winning mentality and you lose something, it kind of affects you, So you go in there, you're winning in the UFC, you're in a winning streak, for example, and then you go to boxing and you lose a fight. Yeah, okay. So it wasn't your discipline, but you still lost something. And it could, it's contact sport, and so it could affect you psychologically. You always want to be confident. You want to build confidence. So, like, there's all those things I think about in terms of the mental game that a lot of people may not think about. And I'm not saying that. Obviously, she's not ducking anybody. It's just that, is she going to face it? She's going to face it in a discipline she's the professional in. I mean, we're making it sound like crossing over different disciplines is something you should be able to do, but it. Two completely different disciplines, So
I mean, it's just so much art. It's just like arguing the pros and cons, right? So if she took it, let's say it was like $1 million, right? Do you think after the fight, she would be a better striker? Would she learn something from fighting Cecilia Breakers that would help her in her UFC career and her mixed martial arts career? I think so. But if she's already making a bunch of money, then what's the point? And she's already whooping ass. You know, it's like, do you want to become a more rounded a fighter, or do you just want to stick in your discipline where you're already getting paid?
See, I'm gonna tell you something too, man. Fighting Nunes, I think that's dangerous for somebody like Claressa Shields because Nunes is somebody she instinctively know how to fight. So it's not to say that she would go in there and dominate Claressa or even be competitive, but if somebody who knows how to fight instinctively and that kick in, and Amanda Nunes hits like a freight truck. I mean, seriously. I mean, you have men that she spar with, man, that when they go all out, they say Amanda Nunes hit like a freight truck. Even Tyron Woodley, man, that's a big dude. Tyron Woodley said Amanda Nunes hit like a truck. So I'm gonna tell you, if she got dropped, Claressa Shields got dropped by Hannah Gabriels, and if Amanda Nunes just by some stroke of luck land a right hand and drop, man, it could be bad. It could be bad. And you already got MMA fighters now thinking that boxers, because they got gloves and the gloves are like they weigh more and they got more cushion. Yeah, I mean MMA fighters are stupid. I'm gonna tell you, man. They think that the boxing gloves, oh, I can go in there and fight 12 rounds of boxing. The gloves ain't that heavy. And I was telling one guy who fight MMA the other day, I said, man, do you not hear about all the MMA guys that get killed in boxing when they come over? Because they're not used to going 12 rounds and they're not used to taking consecutive punishment. And I told him, I said, MMA is different, bro. I said, look, man, somebody can take you to the ground. Okay, they're not punching you. They can submit you. Fight's over. Okay, it's over. Okay, but in boxing, no, that's punches to the dome. Okay, for 12 straight rounds. I said, boxing is serious. I think boxing more dangerous than MMA. Yeah, but you can kick. Yeah, but see, think about it. You kick somebody in the head more likely times than not when you kick them direct. The fight's over. That's it. You done. No. So Claressa Shields, man, I think she's playing with fire, man. I think leave Nunes alone and try to get Cecilia Brackers in there, or because losing to an MMA fighter, the boxing, the MMA fans ain't gonna let Claressa live that down. Because they already don't like Claressa right now. So they're gonna be on Carissa's ass every time she turn around.
Mm-hmm. So MMA fans don't like Claressa Shields?
Hell no.
Oh no, UFC is looking for any kind of victory it can get, period. UFC is thirsty as hell. Like they're trying to be established, they're trying to get market value. If they can get one of their fighters to beat a premier boxer, they love clout chasing boxing. Like forget UFC, they're masters at it. They're masters at it. If they can get one of their champions,
what's his name?
If you can have a UFC champion be a boxing champion also, forget it.
Yeah. Didn't Paulie Malignaggi lose to an MMA fighter?
Yeah, Artem, but that was in bare knuckle, right?
Artem Lobov, yeah.
Well, it's a sort of precursor to boxing.
Yeah. Some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's just that neither one of it. It was Paulie's first fight, and Artem had been a bare knuckle guy, so it was Paulie stepping into Artem's domain a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing. Like if Amanda Nunes could come in and beat arguably, if Breakus is considered like the greatest, right? One of the best since women's boxing got like established and people start taking it seriously, right? So she's the pinnacle. Her resume is the most impressive resume, period, right? And then if you had her beat either Breakus or Claressa, UFC would go crazy. If you had Amanda Nunes beat both of them, forget it. Like Dana White is going to go to his grave talking about it.
Absolutely. 100%. It's very unlikely, but yeah.
I can never see that happening.
That's very impossible. That's like a debutante just jumping out of the clear blue sky and just taking out premier boxers. That's just, that's a shot in the dark.
There's only one fighter in MMA who I think could possibly actually upset Claressa Shields. There's one. And, her name is Jermaine Durandame. That's the only one that I think can stand a chance. The rest of them, Claressa will beat him down, man. She will hurt him. The rest of them, nah, they're no match, man. Nobody could beat Claressa Shields or Cecilia Brackers.
They're talking about Claressa Shields versus Layla Ali. I don't think that's a good fight for Ali, period. But anyway, what do you guys think about that?
Layla Ali is the wrong side of 40, and is a mother. I saw her in like Celebrity. Like, nah, just stop. I mean, she was cool as a boxer. I like her. I like her war face. I like her attitude when she was fighting. But I am not that man anymore. I don't even think. Yeah, she makes me feel old. Actually, even thinking about that fight.
So you're not in your 40s? Because I'm in my 40s. I'm mid 40. I'm on the other side of 40 actually. I'm closer to 50 than 40. And I look at me. I'm pretty young.
I'm on my last 6 months. I'm on my last 6 months of my 40s.
You look good though. You look good for that. Hey, but by the way, Layla, I've seen videos of Layla training and so on. Do you think Layla's taking this seriously, or you think she's going into an exhibition probably with somebody else, maybe Ann Wolf? What do you guys think of that?
Man, I think
I just think she just stays. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, no, I think Layla just stays in shape. Layla, she wrote a book. She was on, Masked Singer. She's trying to eat. I don't know if you know her husband. He's trying to hustle too. I don't know, man. In this world of like, ever since Mayweather McGregor, everybody's trying to get these like circus fights, exhibitions. We got Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson marinating a fight for 2 decades. It's about to happen. But I don't know. I feel like Clarissa Shields is it's just sad. It's a little bit depressing that that's what you need to do. You need to pull Jim Jeffries out of retirement. Let it go.
Chris was just talking about, she don't think the fight's going to happen. It's just one of those things, I guess, people, the names, when you say certain names in boxing, even if you are a staunch boxing fan, the nostalgia kicks in and you kind of get, you're like, oh, I think that's a feeling. Like the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. It's kind of like, it got my attention. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. I know it's stupid, but still. And a Layla versus Clarissa, or Layla versus Ann Wolf, is still always the what if feeling that might be in your mind. I guess you guys don't share the same opinion. But I like this stuff. I like when the YouTube fighters fight each other. I like when they had the crossover fight with McGregor versus Mayweather. I didn't watch it, but I liked it. The idea that boxing doesn't have to be limited to what we always stereotypically thought it should be. So
I tuned in for that ass whoop. There's too much shit talking. You know what? That was one of the best build-ups to a live event, sporting event, combat event that I've seen that I can remember. I don't remember another build-up that's like that. That was bananas.
And they sold it. But, and Floyd Mayweather don't get a lot of credit, man. Hey, the reason why he can do that, man, come back and have a circus fight with McGregor and it just break all kind of numbers, is because for Mayweather, he's good on the microphone. He's good, man. And he's good at making you dislike him. And see, there's only a few fighters that's got that ability, and everybody else, they just trying to imitate. But Floyd Mayweather has a knack, he just know how to get you to tune in. He just do. And I think that's his gift. And that's why he's been able to be so financially successful. Because the man can talk. He can talk his way into anything. He can talk his way out of everything. And he can talk his way into a lot of money. Yeah, that's just what it is.
I think Adrian Broner tried to use that blueprint, but the problem with Adrian Broner was he wasn't dedicated. And that's the same thing I'm worried about with Tank. You see, once you build up a resume, and you build up a resume, now that builds your reputation. So he has this reputation of nobody could beat him. So that sort of reputation, the king of the mountain kind of reputation, is something people always want to see you get beat when you look like you can't get beat. So all of that played into his value. And then he was very outspoken. So he was able to market right up to the Pacquiao fight. And even though Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez, right? Pacquiao got knocked out clean by Marquez. They were still able to build that fight. Of course, Pacquiao came back from that. But they were still able to build that fight to tremendous numbers. Just imagine if Pacquiao never got knocked out by Marquez. What kind of numbers we would have seen, But it is what it is.
Yeah, man, that guy. they actually scheduled his jail time around his fight. They were like, their lawyer made the argument that it would be so injurious to Las Vegas economy to have him go to jail then that they had to schedule his jail time around the fight. That's phenomenal. I don't know what fighters are paying attention to, but that's something to me that I will always remember.
That's the one thing we could say. His fights were a spectacle. It were events. They were huge, and yeah. But I think that though, guys like Tyson and well, Tyson's always going to be. That's why I say, when you're talking about greatest, what do you really mean? What do you mean by best? If we could get the criteria down, what do you specifically mean by that? Then you can say, okay, well, this guy was best at this. This guy was great at this, So that's why sometimes I'll listen to people and I'll say, oh, okay, well, this is what I meant by the best ever, or this is what I meant by the greatest. So that, because people have all kinds of different views of what these things mean. So, but one of the things I would say also is that when you look at guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, all of this is marketing, by the way. I was listening to what's his name? I was listening to Sean Porter's father, Kenny Porter, and Kenny Porter was explaining that, but we always knew that boxing was a business, right? From the way back. But Kenny Porter was saying how they literally plan out your career for you. Like when you get into boxing, you just want to face whoever, right? But in boxing, you got matchmakers for a reason, right? Because well, I don't know if it's like the MMA, but they actually work you through certain fights to get your experience and move you along a certain way. Of course, if you're with certain promoters, you get moved along, more favorably if they want to accelerate something or whatever, based on your Olympic experience or whatever. But it's really something that's planned out for you, right? The opponents. And then at a certain point, you now can get to sort of be a factor in who you are matched with, right? So you listen to like a young guy like what's his name? Caleb Plant. And Caleb Plant will tell you, if you listen, he says, I'm not big enough yet to really pick my fights. If you ever listen to Caleb Plant talk, he actually tell you that it's actually somebody. You got a list of names or something like that, and you have to pick from these names. Who do you want out of these guys? So like the matchmakers and the promoter and the manager, they literally look at the level of opposition you need to face for you to get a certain degree of experience, and you can pick one from that list. So until you get big enough and established enough, then you get to pick who you want to really face, So the business of boxing, because I think it was Kenny Porter talking about that, and how different fighters' careers go. And he was explaining why Sean, because I listened to Coach Edler Harris was talking about how Sean, you would like to see Sean face Terrence, which doesn't seem likely to happen. And the reason being, from what I hear from Sean Porter, Terrence Crawford got a different pathway. This is what he's saying. I don't know how true it is.
Wow.
And he has a different pathway, meaning that the people who kind of lined them up to get fights or whatever, right? Even though Al Heyman, I remember Sean Porter saying Al Heyman cleared him to face Terrence. People in the business say one thing and then they say another. But nonetheless, he said that Terrence got a different pathway and I got a different pathway. Now, whatever that means, I do know, though, in boxing that they do, it's not, a lot of people think it's just a boxer could call out, I want this fighter next and I want that fighter next. Not really, right? It's people in the background who decide how you're going to go. Like even when Floyd was calling out, and this is I'm just trying to tell the truth of the situation. Even when Floyd was saying, I want to have Costa Zoo, or I want to have this guy, he really was lined up to face Gatti. If you really look at it, right? His route was through Gatti. He had to go through Gatti. And I think a lot of people think that it's just this fighter's ducking this fighter or whatever, but not necessarily is always that case. It is in certain cases that the fighter don't want to face those guys. And he told his management, I don't want to face this guy. And he told his promoter, I don't want to face this guy, right? But there's other times when fighters actually they're lined up along a certain pathway, and that's just the way how that goes. So I mean, we as boxing fans sometimes we're not sure which it is, but that's a reality. And I'm not again trying to defend ducking here, but I'm just thinking about what boxing really is. And from a business perspective, we were naive about it back in the 80s. We were naive a little bit about it in the 90s. But now with all this information here, we're learning it's a business, right? Just like WWE is a business, just like how UFC is a business, right? And but just that UFC, you're able to get the fights you want to see because the guys who actually do the matchmaking are guys who, I guess, the people have enough experience by the time you know about them, because I believe they were fighting before they get into the UFC, right? So a lot of guys who come into the UFC, they've already had fights before they came into the UFC. Am I correct?
Yeah, and that's it. That's really what it is. The UFC is an organization and boxing is a sport. Like if you were to compare the UFC to Top Rank, then it's more of an apples to apples comparison, right? There's just not enough guys in the UFC. Not enough combatants in the UFC to really make a comparison to boxing. Like the reason why they get these fights the way they are is because there's 12 people in the division, and you got to keep recycling these guys because they don't have the same amount of people.
Well, no, it's more than that. It's just, all the guys that fight in MMA like the UFC now, that's not the only organization because you got organizations like Bellator, One Championship, you got LFA, you got like a Roadhouse, you got Rising. So when you get into an organization, they rank their top 15 fighters. Now, they got more than 15 fighters. They got a lot of fighters on that roster that each of them, they're trying to fight for a top 15 spot because they know that if they can break into the top 10, they know that they can start getting, start seeing some close to six-figure paydays. Yeah. So they know. So when you come in, they got to take these garbage fights, and the fights don't pay a lot at first. Even when you make it to the UFC, they don't pay a lot. But they know if they can get within the top 10, they know that their salary is going to go up tremendously. So that's what happens there. We can make those fights too. See, Dana White can make fights because everybody's under one umbrella. Okay. So you don't have to go to like 3 different promoters. Dana White's issue, he only have to talk to managers. That's it. But everybody, they're contracted fighters under the UFC banner. So he can go to his fighter. He can say, hey, Woodley, I want you to go up here and face, I want you to fight Colby Covington. Now, the manager and Tyron Woodley can say, well, no, I don't want that fight. Well, Dana White can exercise his, make the person sit out clause. He can stop these guys from making paydays for 6 to 8 months. He can put them on the shelf if they refuse to fight each other. And see, that's kind of like a chokehold that he got on the sport. So he forced these guys, even when they don't want to fight, he forced them to fight. See, we don't have that in boxing. It's just, boxing not up under one umbrella. So that's the reason why they get so many fights. If there were different promoters in MMA, then we wouldn't get the fights we want to see. That's all it is.
So you think that, let me ask you this then. So you think that PBC can allow you to get the fights you want to get easier, or in-house Top Rank fights, or
every in-house
boy fights?
All in-house fights. Matchroom does it. Top Rank does it. PBC.
Okay.
It makes more sense that you have in-house fights. That you don't have to split the money. You can fulfill your network contracts. It's just in-house fights is the most economically reasonable thing to do in combat sports, period.
Well, and Al Heyman, he was the one, man, that helped push the issue with Errol Spence and Sean Porter. He was the one that pushed that. He pushed that issue because they're under the same house. I mean, he pushed it. He wanted them to fight, and I think Kenny and Sean, they wanted to wait. I mean, Sean wasn't ducking him. Sean wanted to fight him, but they wanted to wait, let Sean get a couple more of these little smaller fights, make some more money, then fight Errol. That's what they wanted to do. But Al Heyman said, nope, y'all got to fight. And they fought.
Yeah. And then once they put the pay-per-view on the thing, then Kenny Porter was with it. But yeah, he was hot when he found out Mikey Garcia was pay-per-view. They weren't talking about Errol at all. They're talking about doing whatever. Then that Mikey Garcia pay-per-view came out, and hey, nobody offered me no pay-per-view. But to that end, like if you look at Porter's last 3 fights, right? Garcia, Ugas, Spence. That's a hell of a run. If he were to actually fight Crawford next, I mean, I know he's not going to fight Crawford next, but that is one of the toughest runs we've seen in forever. But he's already been, I don't know. Porter's been putting in work.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for him, and he's still training like mad. I see him training in the sun, all kinds of craziness down in Nevada. So I think that this is some of the things that us as fans we should be kind of aware of. That there's a lot of fights back in the day people just never had, and there was a reason for that. And I think it's risk versus reward, and that's always been that way. And I just think that a lot of people, I would say it this way. We as fans, we desire certain fights, push for it. We as fans have a lot of clout and say we keep on pushing for things, they happen, and I think that's what we have to do as fans, just push for the fights we want to see. If we want to see Crawford versus Spence next year, early next year, we got to push for it. And hopefully Errol Spence will fight Danny Garcia this year, and if he prevails, we need to push for it, because the longer that fight takes to happen is the more likely these guys could lose, right? And we really want it to be one in which it's two undefeated fighters, right? Pound for pound king versus number one welterweight. This is what we want. We want those kinds of fights. So I think the longer they leave it to marinate, the more likely somebody's going to lose something or something, because that's what happened with Wilder and Joshua. Both of them lost, right? We wanted to see AJ versus Wilder. Undefeated killer who just knock out everybody versus undefeated scientists and got decent knockout power. That never happened. Why? Anthony Joshua lost to Ruiz, and then Deontay Wilder lost.
But we did get Fury Wilder undefeated, right? And that's it. And even before there was any notion of AJ, Fury was the guy. So we got that one. Right? Is this which one we want?
I disagree with that. Because AJ
in 2015,
AJ and Wilder was always anticipated. Even when Fury beat Klitschko, everybody was shocked that Fury beat. At least I was shocked that Fury beat Klitschko. Right? He was a surprise guy. But Anthony Joshua was the dude, kind of building up, and everybody. That's what everybody was clamoring for. Nobody was clamoring for Fury versus Wilder or Fury versus Joshua. Even when Fury was on top, nobody was clamoring for it. It's after Fury retired from boxing and left the sport that Anthony Joshua came to prominence. And then Deontay Wilder was just knocking everybody out like if it was just like they were bowling pins.
Right. So the public interest was higher for AJ than it was for Fury. But I'm just saying that the fight for Undisputed predates that, right? The first one was that, like, when Fury got into Wilder's ring after he beat what after what fight was that? Was that Areola? Anyway, after one fight, say again. Oh, was it Duhaupas?
Yeah, was it
all right, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So when he came in and he promised him to baptize him, that was it. That was the moment. I was waiting for it, and then he got stripped and people forgot, and then the excitement behind AJ, and definitely AJ Wilder was the first fight that I became emotionally invested in years, right? So I was trying to get that fight. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying that before I got all caught up in the AJ Wilder thing, I was interested in the Wilder Fury thing. And we got that, before that fight happened, another fight sort of eclipsed it.
Eclipsed it. Because it was Wilder, AJ, everybody was clamoring for Wilder. And I'm just talking from a fan's perspective. Me personally, as a boxing perspective, I thought Wilder made a wiser decision not to just take that AJ fight. Because he might have ended up in a situation where he was just waiting on AJ to fight the rematch, right? He'd have just been sitting down there in limbo. So he was able to have 2-3 fights, I think, while AJ was trying to sort himself out and get back his championship. And then he came back
what
to
it
Fury.
is. What I didn't like was I didn't like the attitude and the way that people were talking about Wilder during that entire thing. I became more of a Wilder fan just because he fucking stood up for himself. Like the way that they were just disrespecting him as a human being, really irked me. Right. So the reason why I wasn't so pissed about the AJ fight not happening was because I don't need for my fighter to go into a fight with that kind of situation, like where you're just eating shit and nobody respects you. Like what's the point of that? You're a champion. You should be treated with respect and also honored, right? You should be treasured for the respect for the accomplishments that you've had, and that's not what was going down in the fight. So,
yeah. Well, my thing is that people don't give Wilder the respect. He can box, and even in the Fury fight where he wasn't doing all the legit things that he normally does, that was because of what Fury was doing to him. Okay, and Ben Davis and I actually broke down because Wilder has a really great jab. He has a great jab. We saw it against Bermane Stiverne. We saw it against Luis Ortiz. He jabs very well. It's just that I think that, and he was Olympian. I think that it's just that Tyson Fury's that much better than he is as a boxer. So it kind of shows up his flaws. And in the case of when he faced Fury the second time, I don't think he expected Fury to come forward like that. I don't think he expected Fury to just jump on him. I don't think he expected Fury to go off the front foot like he did and box off the front foot. So I think that's what got Wilder off balance, because he does box off the back foot quite well. And I just think that he wasn't ready for that kind of fight, quite frankly.
I have a question. Since for both of you guys, you're into the technical side and coaches. So compare the defenses. Do you think that Wilder or Estrada has a better defense?
Wilder or
Estrada is different.
The Estrada, the guy who just beat Tree run beside. He's supposed to fight Chocolatito.
I think
Estrada?
I don't know, man. See, I think Wilder, his defense is okay. I think at certain times he like to drop his hands. And I think that's the part that bothers me about Wilder's defense. But I mean, Wilder don't stand in the pocket either. He's not a guy that Wilder don't like to take a whole lot of shots. So yeah, I think Wilder's pretty defensive. Estrada,
and he don't. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, man. No, yeah, I do think Wilder does have. It's not like the best defense, but it's not terrible. I mean, he does know how to pick shots. He does know how to catch and shoot. He's a decent counter. I've seen him slip jabs. I mean, yeah, his defense pretty good.
He got a good jab, 1, 2. He come from the Mark Breland School of Boxing, so actually from Detroit, actually. So he work off the jab. He has a nice down jab. He has a good pivot. Well, he has decent pivot work. Okay. I think also he has good distance control. Because like you said, he fights on the outside mostly. Juan Francisco Estrada can do a lot of things. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. Bob and weave, dip. Slip punches. He's a good all-around Mexican fighter. Good pedigree.
Yeah, just as far as defense is concerned, right? Just looking through the lens of defense.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying good all-around pedigree, meaning he can slip punches, he can block punches, roll punches, dip from punches. Even with his offense, his defense is pretty tight. He does get hit with some punches, but he's better defensively than Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder fights a different kind of fight. He's more of an outboxer type. He fight on the outside mostly, but Wilder catches punches well, parries punches well, slips punches well. He was just to be honest with you, I think Tyson Fury put him in a position. It was more he was put in a position that made him lose his cool. It's sort of he still kept his composure, by the way. Even when that fight was stopped, I may be one of the few that have a different opinion of it, but I thought it was stopped a little too soon because Wilder actually threw a left hook on Tyson Fury and hit him with the left hook in that exchange when Kenny Bayless jumped in and stopped it. But again, it wasn't him that stopped it. It was Mark Breland who threw the towel in. And yeah, Deontay did have a little cut on his ear, but blood was coming out of his ear. But I saw that he was still in it, and if he had to go out on the shield, he didn't have a problem with that. But I thought he was still in it. But that's just my personal opinion. The link, Coach Shelton Harris, the link is above. Just go. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do it again. But I thought that defensively, Wilder has a decent defense. Okay, again, you can't become an Olympian if you have no defense. He's not Gennady Golovkin. He don't eat punches coming at him, you know. And he's also a sharpshooter. Deontay Wilder is more of a sharpshooter than he is he's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Pot shotter. He's more of a pot shotter, a jabber and a pot shotter than he is a volume puncher and a guy that overwhelms you with punches. So he picks his punches and he's very smart with what he does. I think a lot of people just don't give him credit for the fact that he can box quite well. The stream took the link out. Okay, fine. Let me send you the link again. So yeah, I do believe that Wilder is a much better boxer than people give him credit for. A much better boxer. Let me just put this link back in for Coach Shelton Harris. But I look forward to seeing the rematch. Who do you favor in the rematch? Get the smoke.
In the Chocolatito Estrada?
In the both of them, in Chocolatito Estrada and Wilder versus Fury.
Okay, Wilder versus Fury. I get first out. Rest in power, Naseem Richardson. You will be missed. I was hoping that I'd see some Naseem Richardson in the dressing room for the gloving, right? For the hand wraps. I was looking forward to something like that. But I think that Wilder needs to figure out a couple of things, right? He did some things that wrong. He did some things that I think are easy to correct. But we'll see if he does. And then he has to come with a different mentality that I don't know how he gets it, right? And that is, one of the things I love about Andre Ward was that you weren't going to bully that guy. You weren't going to be dirtier than he is going to be, right? There's no way that you're going to out-muscle that guy. Right. Yeah, exactly. You want to come with it? He's all there for you. He's like, yeah, bring it. And that mentality needs to be in Wilder's thing. Like, he needs to figure out a way to not be so reactive, right? And that's and it's fight to fight. But I'm just noticing he's looking for his moments to shoot his right hand, and I think he's neglecting other, like, just sort of small things about the distance of the fight and fighting at different ranges and making the fight tough at different ranges to discourage Fury from doing stuff, right? The thing that I think is easy to fix, the easiest thing to fix is, from the rematch, I saw Wilder kept turning his head away from Fury's punches. Right. You got to not do that, right? Yeah, you got to figure out a different way to avoid, to slip or whatever. But the turning away, that's it. That is just it. That's wrong on so many levels. Yeah, I don't think his back foot game was that bad. I think if he can, figure out how to keep his eye on the target and also how to get mean and dirty in the clinch, then the fight will discourage Fury from a lot of stuff that we saw in the rematch. The only problem is Fury can do so many things in the ring. I think it may be a mistake to try to relitigate that last fight in the next fight, because Fury probably will just come up with something different, right?
Right.
But yeah,
my thing though is, how do you get away from a long jab like Fury's? Because Wilder's more of an outboxer, so he's fighting him on the outside. Now, if Wilder was a guy who used to slip and slide, you ain't got no problems because he just slip him and slide to the inside, right? But yeah, he's not really a slip and slide fighter.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I think that as long as the contest is long, I think that is Wilder's best shot. Fury is still game and dangerous and can still win an outside fight, but that's the distance that Wilder wants to be at, right? That's the distance he needs to be, like inside of Fury's jab and totally and keep Fury at the end of his shot, right? So keeping it there is where Wilder has the best success. Even in the rematch in rounds 1 and 2, when it was long, he was able to hit him with a couple of rights, and he was able to jab the body pretty well. He was able to do some things and keep the fight competitive. As soon as that ended, where the fight wasn't competitive, was the amount of dirty shit that was going on in the clinch, and then also being opportunistic, like trying to win every second of every round. And right, so I think there just needs to be an attitude adjustment about the way Wilder thinks about fighting, and then a couple of different technical adjustments, and I think he'll be fine.
Man. Boy. What you need? Where do I start with this one, man? Wilder, Deontay Wilder, the man, his athleticism, to me, has been able to make up like a lot of like shortcomings that he got technically. His athleticism has done it. I've seen him in fights where, like he was getting outboxed, like when he's fighting Spilker. But he's so athletic, man, and Deontay Wilder has good timing. People don't believe it, but I'm saying, guys, Wilder timing is very good. Because anybody, for him throwing those overhand rights like that, and the amount of time it takes for him to deliver those overhand rights, his timing is good, very good. The thing is, though, when you get in there, when you get into it with a pure boxer like Fury, it's only so much your athleticism is going to be able to do. His athleticism is going to make it an even playing field. It's going to make it like giving him that one trick pony to win the fight. Not just his right hand, but the man's athleticism. But the thing of it is, Fury, possesses a high boxing IQ. It's there. And, Wilder can't get around it. He's going to have to, actually do some technical things that's going to, deter Tyson Fury from just, trying to do the things that he was doing in the second fight. He's going to have to do it. Like, number one, Wilder, he can't take every shot with his right hand and try to go for a knockout. Like, I think Deontay Wilder will better benefit actually throwing more volume, but not necessarily, trying to, knock him out. But you got to wear a guy like Fury down. You're not going to hit him with one shot because he's resilient. Okay, he will get up. I mean, in the first fight, he got up twice. You got to wear a guy like Fury down. You got to punish him. You got to put hands on him. You got to wear this guy down, and then when you're ready to knock him out and you lay that right hand on him, okay, he won't get up. So that's another thing. I think Wilder is leaving a lot of stuff at home. I think Wilder could be the best fighter on the planet, in the heavyweight division, if he tightened up on a couple of things, especially like with and I agree with GTS when Deontay Wilder do like to turn away, or he'll throw that jab where he kind of turns away and then he'll throw this stabbing jab instead of actually like pumping a jab and then following the jab back up with a right hand, instead of doing that. Or like sometimes he'll try to catch and shoot. He'll catch and then try to throw overhand right from like a long distance. Well, a boxer like Fury, he's going to see that. He's going to see it and he's going to know how to prepare from it. Because if you hit Tyson Fury once with something, he's going to make adjustments. Wilder technically don't make a lot of adjustments. His adjustment is, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Oh, hey, my phone's dying, guys.
All right, man. Coach Shelton Harris, again, thank you so very much for being here. And shout out to Coach Shelton Harris, as he might have to leave because his phone is dying. But shout out to you. It was great to have you on the panel with us. Yeah, get the smoke. Again, I agree 100% with what Coach Shelton Harris is saying. I think, Wilder had to depend a lot on his jab as well, doubling it up, tripling it up. And there's certain things in boxing where a jab is useful, and then there's other times when it's not. Tyson Fury, he's able to get under Wilder's jab and roll under and get to the inside of Deontay Wilder. And I think that is kind of critical as to how he's been able to, work him on the inside. Now, you were saying it's kind of dirty stuff on the inside. I kind of I call it infighting, and like you say, Andre Ward is a guy, you hit him in the nuts or you hit him, rabbit punch him in the back of the head, he's gonna rabbit punch you right back or hit you in the nuts right back. So I think Wilder has to be a little bit more aware of that. But I just think that because Wilder did very well in the first fight against Tyson Fury. A lot of people forgot that he fought pretty well in the first fight against Tyson Fury. I mean, I thought Fury won the first fight, but Wilder was able to catch him, knock him down twice, right? People were saying, well, Fury was the weaker Fury. Well, listen, if Wilder comes into the third fight, because he's going to be the underdog, in my opinion, he goes into the third fight, some of the things he did in the first fight he'll need, and some of the things that you need to tighten up on, which is, I think, his footwork a little bit, just turning Fury a bit, because Fury's going to be the longer, taller guy. All right? Fury's going to be able to get to him with his jab much easier than Wilder would get to him with his jab. And I think tightening up on his inside fighting game, he can infight a little bit. Fury is going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the heavier guy. So bear that in mind and don't spend too much time on the inside. If you got to turn Fury around, because Fury's going to try and press his weight down on you and wear you down. And I think there's several reasons why Wilder lost that fight the way he lost it. One was he allowed Fury to bully him. He allowed Fury to put his weight down on him, use his body size and mass on him, and also tire him out. And the other thing is, I think that Deontay Wilder he has a good jab. Like you say, he has a decent jab, but the problem with it is it's kind of hard to throw a jab at a guy or out jab a guy that's longer than you. Like Fury's just so much longer than Wilder, and Wilder does try to use the spear jab off the angle. He'll need to learn how to sort of bob and weave a little bit better, and he's got to have a better infighting game. He's got to have some little trick inside of there for infighting where he can pivot around Fury. When you sidestep to the weak side or you sidestep to the front of it, he's got to learn how to do that pivot work and get around Fury at least. So when Fury's coming in or whatever he's doing and he's trying to grapple him, he can sidestep him, roll under, and probably catch him weak side. If not catch him weak side, at least turn him. So he will turn, because Fury's the taller guy, and he also is a better infighter than Wilder. So that's a problem. But other than that, I think that Deontay Wilder, now being aware that Fury could come to him, he should be able to set traps better and make Fury walk into something, like how he did with Luis Ortiz. The other thing is Wilder. I don't think Wilder ever faced guys much taller than him. I think he's faced guys as tall as him, but he's never really faced a guy as tall as Tyson Fury. So all of those reasons, I think you have to factor in. That's even why he didn't do so well with Tyson Fury the first fight and the second fight. Tyson Fury's just that long. He's like 6'8". He's got what?
I mean,
really ridiculously long reach.
Yeah, definitely Fury is the longest boxer. He's also the smartest boxer, but he also has a better corner in the rematch, right? You saw the difference in what the instruction was in Fury's corner and what they were saying over there versus what was going on in Wilder's corner, right? And that's also part of it. You got to shore that thing up like sooner than later, and I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in that particular process just because I haven't seen enough of it since the loss, right? I feel like he should have already had who he's going to bring in. George Foreman's a great addition, but whoever is going to be that additional brain trust, that addition to the the brain power he already has in his corner, they should have already been announced and they should be working this entire time. So that particular aspect of it, I don't have a lot of confidence in, but I do think if you have a different mentality in the clinch and just a different mentality in the fight, that you're not so reactive and you're not willing to, like, I don't get why Wilder was announced first. Stuff like that, just like little small things where he just kept giving his advantages away. I don't think it's the time for it. You need to not only not give any of your advantages away, you need to seek every opportunity. You need to be as opportunistic as possible and exploit all the opportunities.
I think his style is perfect for catching a guy off guard. Like, the thing with Wilder is he catch you napping, that's when he gets you. So if he can get Fury to be I think that's what Wilder was actually trying to do in that fight. Actually, when Fury was beating him up, he was still looking for that opportunity to sneak in that right hand on him because Fury was so confident as he was beating up Wilder. And I think that's what he did with Luis Ortiz as well. Or Coach Sheldon Harris.
That's the issue. It's that he's relitigating the last fight. I think he was over anxious in the first fight, and so to compensate, he came relaxed in the second fight. But then when Fury became in a different gear, he wasn't ready to it. Now he's like Mr. Cool Hand Luke Sniper, just trying to look for an opportunity. But it's a different fight. Now you need to figure out how to get back to this place to lull him to a place where you can rock him to sleep, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, he needs to figure out what is happening, where he is in the fight, right? And control the momentum that way. Not just be reactive. Not be dictate something. Be proactive.
Because usually, as strange as it sounds, Wilder usually is dictating fights. Even when he was against Luis Ortiz, I think it was the first or the second one, I can't remember which one. He was really dictating the range because he had that jab. In this case, he couldn't dictate the range because his jab wasn't as effective as he really wanted it to be. Fury just jumped on him from round one, And so I think I think Fury caught him off guard. I think the game plan was something else, and Fury just messed up that game plan because Wilder expected Fury to probably box off the back foot. He didn't believe that Fury was going to come for him. He didn't believe it.
It's that Fury made the proper adjustment. It's just Fury made the proper adjustment. Wilder was having success when it was long. When he was kept at range, that's when Wilder was able to jab him to the body, hook him to the body, land the right hand, all the stuff that Wilder needed to do to end the fight late and to win the fight late. But Fury didn't just keep it there. Instead, he stepped to him, and when he stepped to him, Wilder gave up too much ground. He didn't. Again, I'm going to talk about Ward. Ward makes sure that he's a stand your ground guy. He's not gonna. You're gonna have to beat the ground out of him. He's not just gonna concede it. And Wilder conceded too much.
Yeah, because I think two reasons. Fury's a good outboxer and he's also a good infighter. So what happened was Wilder was trying to go back to his game of fighting you on the outside, box you on the outside, and control. Fury took that away from him. So now Wilder didn't know what to do. And I think it's just the mindset. Wilder came in thinking he was the dude that was going to push Fury around. And he just never expected Fury to come at him like that. So I think he's working on his inside game because Wilder can fight on the inside as well. I think he's working on his inside game. So if Fury does come to the inside, one of the things he has to make sure is Fury doesn't just put his weight down on him. He's going to have to jam his shoulder or his body into Fury and then pivot around Fury. If he does something like that, he throws Fury off the balance all the time. Keep turning Fury on the inside because Wilder shouldn't come in with a whole set of mass. That doesn't make no sense. He got to come in the way he usually come in so he could have that nimbleness, that agility. And then he needs to be able to dictate a bit on the inside. If he don't dictate, Fury's going to win this fight again, and probably in a worse fashion than he did the first time. So he's got to make sure that his right hand becomes an effective tool in this fight. And he has to watch what Fury is doing, study him. And the only way he's going to be able to do that is he has to be able to handle his own on the inside, because Fury's going to get there again if he wants to. So that's his thing. And once he can handle himself a bit on the inside, he doesn't have to be a lot. It's just handle yourself a bit on the inside so you can get back on the outside. When you're going back to the outside, use your jab to get back to the outside. So, but he has to first establish that he could handle himself a little bit on the inside. If you were to come on the inside, turn him, use the jab, keep, get that spacing that he needs, and then from there he could try and see what else do you have to bring Fury? That's the kind of, I can handle this now. I can handle you on the inside. Now what do you bring on the else game? So I think that's the thing that he has to work on. Otherwise, he's gonna get blown out again. But that's a big fight, no doubt about it. What do you guys think about either the winner of that fight taking on an Anthony Joshua, who has to take on Pulev? So what do you guys think about the Joshua Pulev fight before I wrap it up for tonight? Because we've been talking for a while.
And
I let Coach go first because he got it. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, man. Hey, is Pulev gonna make his way to the Joshua fight? That's the question. Because Pulev been avoiding Joshua for a little while now. So I'm kind of wondering if that fight is, I mean, they say it's gonna happen, man, but I don't know, man. Like, Pulev done pulled out it. Well, this fight been proposed to Pulev twice, and he's kind of like found a way not to fight. But I think it's a good idea, man. I think the Pulev Joshua winner need to fight the Wilder Fury winner. They need to and have a super fight. So, from the looks of it, I want Wilder to win, but I just think Tyson Fury. I think he's probably going to learn more the third fight in outboxing, and I think he's going to be Fury and Joshua, which that's the fight they want. Because I don't know, does anybody here believe that Pulev can beat Joshua? Because I can't see it, man. I can't.
In his sleep with a bat.
Well, if he got that girl, whatever the girl that he felt up, he probably can help him. I mean, she can help him. What's her name? Angela or whoever, he got accused of kissing. He probably might have to get her to help,
I'm say too much about Pulev, but what I'll say is that I'm looking forward to undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. We were arguing about lineal champion a while back to start a new lineage and get this thing on the road. So it's pretty close to happening. I mean, the one last piece of the puzzle is the WBC title. Whoever holds that again gets hopefully gets to face Anthony Joshua. If once Anthony Joshua gets past Pulev, right? So it's I mean, we in an era that we in a special era. The last era, which was Klitschko era, we didn't get the undisputed champion. So it's very possible that we might get it next year. And that's kind of exciting. I mean, Dillian White be knocking on the door like, man, give me a shot. I'm like, okay, you just chill. Like, Dillian, chill. I'm just hoping that Dillian White would just chill a little bit. Just imagine if you got an undisputed champion, which would Dillian White prefer? To face the WBC champion or undisputed champion? He's talking about like Tyson Fury want to duck him and all these guys want to listen, man. Which do you prefer? To face an undisputed champion or a WBC champion? That's how you should be thinking. That's my personal opinion. I don't know.
Undisputed.
You guys think?
Undisputed. Yeah.
That sounds
man. I like see. I'm from a time when you're supposed to be able, with the best was supposed to be able to beat everybody. So it's not even about the belts, really. Like, I want White to rematch Parker, but just to prove you. Like, that's what this for me. That's what it's supposed to be about. You're supposed to show I'm better than you, right? And I don't know. That don't seem what it's about here. People are, trying to shortcut and scheme and plot their way to the top and not face guys who they think are potential threats. And I don't know. It to me, it devalues the whole proposition of a champion and all that stuff.
Because everybody's ducking Luis Ortiz. The only guy that faced Luis Ortiz was Deontay Wilder. I gotta give Wilder props for that. Everybody else is ducking him. I ain't hear nobody saying, "Bring out Luis Ortiz. Let me face this guy." Nobody's saying that. And he came up a loss, a knockout loss, by the way. All right, that's what I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, Deontay Wilder faced him twice, right? 2 times. Anyway.
Face Fury twice. Face Fury twice. And that's to do the game of draw. I mean, listen, you say what you want about the man, but a lot of the criticisms I think are just full of shit. Hey, I'm witnessing something very special. It's not just historically, but also within his own generation.
Right. So I'm just saying that. Coach. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying. When it comes to people talking about the best facing the best, and you're saying run it back, Dillian White run it back with Joseph Parker, and
Oscar Rivas, really.
Nah, Oscar Rivas, no. Why? He unanimously beat him. He did drop him.
He unanimously beat him with glove controversy and apparently a failed test.
But
he still got dropped.
He could always run it. He could always run it back when he's heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed. So I mean,
I get that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying that Dillian White need to calm himself down because he be throwing all kinds of stuff out there. I get it. He's shouting so that everybody remembers him. But dude, just shut up. Let the people become undisputed, and then now make noise. Because the risk versus reward is going to be just spectacular anyway. So I mean, that's what he should be. Focus on Povetkin, trying to beat Povetkin, and then just keep on working his way up. You got a break with the UCAD. Now work your way up. Because I'm gonna take a different take on Baby Miller for a minute, but I want to hear you guys' opinion on Baby Miller first before I go into Baby Miller.
I'm not so first off, I want the sport to be clean. Secondly, I don't need for anybody to be martyred because of everybody else's sins, right? I don't need for Big Baby to pay for all the sins of all these boxers, right? If everyone else can get away with it, then he should be able to get away with it too.
Man, look at all the money he done messed up. Look at all the money he done messed up, man. You think he learned his lesson the first time when he messed up, what, about 7 million, 4 million? Now,
what?
He did it again. I mean, come on. Yeah, I'm with him. Yeah. I mean, all these people that's done pop. You got Povetkin running around here popping. I mean, you got Luis Ortiz. Even though they said blood pressure medication, he still pop.
Stiverne popped.
Who?
Fury popped.
Yeah, Tyson Fury popped, and he tried to say it was his mental health. Nah, man, they had to suspend his ass for a couple of years. That's what happened. But Big Baby, it's something wrong with that guy, man. There's something wrong with him. You can't be. He was a kickboxer, man. He was a damn good kickboxer. He was real good. I think the man had like 22 wins, man, and he was good. But in kickboxing, the testing not stringent over there. Matter of fact, you can be dirty. And I'm sure he was dirty in kickboxing. Had to be. But
he popped dirty in kickboxing, didn't
he? He popped dirty 5 times. This is his 5th time.
Yeah, as a kickboxer, I think he popped dirty then too.
Yeah, I think overall 5 times.
This is fucking big bread, though, man. This ain't no kickboxing salary. Kickboxing, you don't make shit. This is for some big bread, and he just,
for real.
I don't know, man. You would think that common sense would tell you, hey, he been talking about getting his hands on AJ. He had AJ dead to rights. Okay, AJ was dead to rights. He was dead. He had him, and he fucked it up. And he had another big fight. I forgot who was he gonna fight this one time before he got popped after AJ. He was gonna fight.
He was just gonna bring back COVID. It was his top ranked debut, right? Because he signed with Bob, and he fucked off his top ranked review. Yeah,
and he messed that up, man. And
nobody wanted to sign him until Bob Arum wanted to sign him.
I want to see the guy return. I want to see him return. I want to see him mix it up with some of these heavyweights because I think it'd be some good matchups with him. I want to see him in Wilder. I want to see him in AJ fight. I was looking forward to him in that AJ fight. I really was. And I'm like, dang, he messed it up, man. He screwed it up. What was he thinking? And you know what? I was trying to interview his manager, man. I was trying to interview her because, I told her, I promise I won't talk about Jarrell Miller. I promise I won't, but I lied. Of course I was. And I couldn't get the interview with her, man, because, she said a couple things, and I told her, hey, listen, I don't know, I guess you think you're cool and people kiss your ass. I said, but, I'm not going to let you talk to me any kind of way just to get an interview with you. I said, woman, you need to have some respect. Okay. You need to have some respect, woman. So, but I don't know what his problem is, man. I don't. He's a good fighter, real good fighter. I don't think he needs steroids. He really don't need them. He's a good fighter. And I used to always wonder for him to be over 300 pounds and to have that kind of stamina. Have you guys ever seen this guy from round 1 to round 12? Jarrell Miller is still coming. Like that boy got some stamina to be a big boy, man. And he dangerous. And I think people better stop sleeping on him. If he can never get his stuff together, they better stop.
Yeah, it's a problem. What is the battery in his back, right? Is the battery in his back a banned substance? Because He throws an
Right.
inordinate amount of shots, right? So I mean, he needs to get whatever the hell Usyk is doing. He needs to figure that out.
I would say this though, and it's gonna be a little bit controversial, but I think that a lot of elite fighters are using it. I think they're using a lot of PEDs, and some people are being protected, and I think some people are getting outed because they're not in the protected lot. So I think a lot of them are using it. There's question marks over AJ. I'm not gonna. That's a rumor, really. So I'm not gonna go there. But I think that's the problem. And so even Shannon Briggs was talking about even Wilder using some, and I just listening to different people talk in the industry. And we all know Shannon Briggs. He might be using it himself. So I'm just wondering, why Jarrell Miller is the guy that they choose to highlight. Let's put it that way. So that's what's curious to me, and this is just a different take on the whole thing, because it's not like some of these guys who got caught, like Tyson Fury, and I will use Tyson Fury as an example. Tyson Fury got caught. We know he ain't used no wild boar meat, right?
No.
So and Canelo got caught, and we know it wasn't just right. So what is really going on? Because we're making it. It sounds like if Jarrell Miller, he's stupid and he just, he went back to doing it. But who says that these other guys are not going back to doing it too, and they're just masking it very well, or they're being protected? So what I'm seeing is that maybe Jarrell Miller's the guy that's the fall guy. He
doesn't have a $1 billion Russian promoter behind him. He doesn't have a country behind him. He doesn't have the connections to a sanctioning body. There's any number of ways that Jarrell Miller is not actually going to be. He's not going to be able to do what a lot of these other guys are doing.
Yeah, because Povetkin clearly was taking something, right?
Heck yeah.
His whole physique looked different, right? And then he got caught, I think twice, and then he's still fighting. He's going to be fighting Dillian White, right? So my question is, he in the sport, but Jarrell Miller, I mean, he did get caught many times. But still, the question is, why is it that Jarrell Miller has been as the fall guy? Why is he the fall guy for all these other guys like Get the Smoke is saying? And I think it's because, one, he don't play the politics that need to be played, and two, I think he actually is a threat to some of those guys at the top. And
yeah,
he's not playing ball, so he's out it. I think that's what's really going on. That's just a different take.
Jarrell Miller definitely pushes payday out, maybe past, anything that we can see right now. But his name is so big, and he's still undefeated. Like I think I'm not sure how young he is. I think he's close to 30. Close. I think he's on the other side of 30, but I think he's pretty close to 30, right? Or maybe he's 32, something like that. So I think he can come again. Especially the heavyweight landscape being what it is. There's no names, Kovnacki getting knocked out by Helenius. Pulev is still around. Pavet, like all these dudes are still around getting high profile fights. And Miller should be able to come again and also like challenge for titles and make tens of millions. He should still have that. Like he even this bad publicity is currency for a fight.
Why I say this is because I'm not here. Did Bob Arum say anything about him?
Yeah, Bob Arum said Bob Arum tried to blackball him. Bob Arum tried to get nobody to sign him ever again.
Okay.
Hey, that's messed up.
Interesting. I'm not condoning what he's saying. Get me right, eh? I'm not condoning it, but I do think it's a lot more prevalent in boxing than because there's certain shots, man. I see some of these elite fighters taking, and I'm saying they ain't nowhere a human could take that shot. And I just look at some crisp, clean shots that would knock out anybody, right? And I'm saying, they gotta be those elite fighters gotta be taking something. There's something that makes them different. And I remember the Black Southpaw, who was the IBF World Champion. He's doing pretty well now, but you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Who AJ knocked out?
Kell Brook?
No. A heavyweight champion, Southpaw. He was the IBF World Champion.
Oh.
He's doing pretty good now.
AJ knocked out?
Chris Bird?
Yeah. Who?
Oh,
No,
Charles Martin. Charles Martin.
Right,
Yeah.
Charles Martin. Yeah, Charles Martin said when he fought AJ, he said, man, that dude was just really, really strong. And the way how he emphasized the strength of AJ felt like an otherworldly strong. You know, it's like I was arguing this debate about Felix Trinidad and his raps, right?
Yeah.
And you know, some guys when they describe when Felix Trinidad hit them, it was like otherworldly, like there's something just otherworldly about it. And of course, we know about Prince Nassim Richardson and Bernard Hopkins and the rap situation and stuff. And I'm not saying that he was like Antonio Margarito kind of raps, but I'm just saying the way how it was rap kind of did make a difference, right? In his fights. And I'm just saying there's all these little, like even the Tyson Fury glove issue. We're learning now about all these little things that people do in boxing that are tricky, they be clever, sometimes they're borderline illegal to get edges in fights, right? Because everybody want to get an edge. At the top level, you want to separate yourself from your competition. So, I mean, you were going to say something, Get the Smoke?
Yeah, no, I was just, I was going to preface my statement. Like, I am, because of his last fight, I am a newfound Manny Pacquiao fan, right? At the end of his career, I now okay, fine, let me give it up for Manny Pacquiao. However, it just doesn't pass the sniff test. The guy has been in a gazillion wars, and he's old as shit, and this is what he looks like. I just, I was born at night, not last night.
The man still can throw he can still throw a lot of volume punches, man. And he beat the hell out of Keith Thurman, man. I really wasn't expecting that, man. I wasn't expecting.
I wasn't either.
Shocking.
Yeah, and and I saw the craft in it also. It wasn't just the PEDs. He was the feints he had. He fainted Keith Thurman to paralysis.
Well, Keith Thurman outlanded him though in that fight, and Keith Thurman was coming on strong, middle to late rounds until he caught him with a body punch. He caught him with that body punch, and that was it. But I'm just saying, Pacquiao is phenomenal. I can't, there's a lot of question marks and asterisks on certain things, but he's a phenomenal fighter, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he didn't use, like you said, he didn't use some special shakes.
Yeah, man.
Special
you say what you want. You can say that he never popped there, all that stuff, like whatever. Some things, if that is the only thing that convinces you, then fine, let that be the only thing that convinces you. But either Pacquiao is the most impressive boxer to ever lace them up when it comes to really durability. Like, how in the hell are you able to? I mean, come on, man. Morales was putting it on him back then in the lower weight classes. Then he comes up and just starts bullying Margarito and Clottey. Like, come on, man. Anyway,
nobody ever stopped Cotto. Never stopped Cotto like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can say maybe some rehydration clauses had something to do with it and all that stuff. Like I can get, Like I said, there's too many. There's too much.
But all I'm saying though is I know that in elite boxing they have to be taking something, whether it's supplements or vitamins. They're taking something that makes them stronger than normal. That's what I believe. And you see a lot of people getting popped dirty in combat sports, period. Whether it's MMA or boxing. A lot of premier guys. John Jones popping dirty all the time, and he's a fantastic fighter. You know, Canelo getting popped. You know, some legendary fighters popped, and I'm saying to myself, is this the only time they're dirty, or is it that they caught them inside the cycle? And I'm wondering. I was having a discussion with another brother about UCAD and all of these anti-doping agencies. How far compromised do you think they are, or are they compromised at all?
Man, but that's a loaded question. It's a loaded question. You know
Totally compromised, completely corrupt. I think that Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren can do whatever the hell they want in England when it comes to this stuff. I think Frank Warren is instrumental in creating the BBOC in the first place, and Eddie Hearn and his dad has been greasing those wheels and having people appointed to it and all this stuff. I think they own that.
Yeah. So I think USADA is very hard to compromise because USADA don't give a damn. They the one that got Lance Armstrong out of there. They got Marion Jones out of there. They what's his name? Sammy Sosa. Shoot, Mark McGuire. I mean, USADA, they have definitely, got some high profile athletes out of there. So, they've been consistent. They've been real consistent over the years. And, they even do it in MMA. USADA, they don't care, man.
Yeah.
They done cost John.
The money guys in the MMA are being knocked down. I'm kind of shocked myself.
Can I just say something? I don't know. It's been a couple years ago, maybe 2018. I heard one of the most shocking takes come from Coach about John Jones. Apparently, I didn't realize his perception, like the way people perceive John Jones within the MMA community. I was like, yeah, John Jones the man. The coach is like, that dude's a piece of shit. Okay, cool.
Well, you know what though? He probably gonna go down as the best fighter in history in MMA. He is. He good. John Jones don't need PEDs to be. He never needed them. I think his outside the octagon stuff. He's done a lot of stuff. But then when I start thinking about it, I'm like, well, damn. Man, look at Conor McGregor, man. All the shit he do. And when you look at him side by side, hell, he worse than John Jones. I mean, he is. He worse than John Jones. I mean, John Jones ain't on record for having a woman say that he sexually assaulted her. John Jones ain't on record for that. John Jones ain't running around here beating up fans. Throwing dollies through windows, punching old men in the face because they don't want to drink that nasty whiskey. I mean, so I'm just sitting here thinking, damn. I mean, is John Jones really that bad? I mean, considering who we got to compare him to. I mean, yeah, I know he hit the pregnant woman and ran. Okay, yeah, that was bad. That was real bad.
That was a car, though. That was a car accident.
God, but look at McGregor is on a whole nother level of evil. Like, there's something wrong. I think McGregor, I definitely think he's been snorting that coke, man. Man knows already compromised. That man been on that coke. But yeah, man, they popped John Jones. They popped Brock Lesnar. And those are two big stars in MMA, and USADA didn't give a damn. USADA just said, "Nope, you guys are dirty." And that
they retired Anderson Silva.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Hey, they came hard on Anderson Silva. I'm to my man, they brought the house, and this is when Anderson Silva was like probably the biggest male MMA star back then. That's when he was huge, and they brought him down, man. So USADA don't care. They don't care who you are. They taking you out.
So do you think though that USADA with the IV scandal with Floyd Mayweather, you think that USADA was in on it, that he paid him?
I don't think they would have let him get away with that, man. If something was fishy about that, okay. I think they would have went in and they'd have got him too. I think
they'd have get his ass, sure.
Oh, they'd have got him, man. And I think that's why Manny Pacquiao was kind of afraid, because Floyd was talking about having USADA do random blood and urine testing, and Pacquiao,
that's what I'm saying.
And USADA, USADA would have went in on him. They'd have got him. They would have got him. I've seen them, man. I see USADA in action. Some of my favorite athletes. Man, when they brought Marion Jones down, I was in tears almost, man.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
Yeah.
track and field runner, man. I said, damn,
It's bad.
USADA, look
Yeah.
what he did. Then, when USADA got Lance Armstrong, I was like, come on, man. Damn, Lance Armstrong, too? I mean, the man just got through making all these cancer commercials. Come on now. You can't take down Lance. He's a nice guy. Man lost to
I
Tulsa.
remember that.
Man's a nice
He took
guy.
down the whole Balco thing. The whole Balco scandal. Shane Mosley was involved with the Clear and all that stuff. Yeah. They USADA, baby.
I don't have
Yeah,
USADA.
I remember like I was in Belize and I want to say like from 2004 to 2009, and yeah, that they were very embarrassed about the whole Marion Jones thing.
Man.
Yeah.
I met Marion Jones. I met her a few times, man. Because she's from where she used to live here where I live at. And I'm just like, man, they got Marion Jones. I said, what the hell wrong with USADA? Damn, they should be. And then when they popped Tim Montgomery, and then when they tried to pop Maurice Green, man.
Yeah.
Maurice Green got away by the skin of his teeth. Maurice Green got lucky. He got lucky.
Carl Lewis. Carl
Lewis
Lewis got lucky. Ben Johnson, not so much.
Yeah.
No, Ben Johnson.
They got Donovan Bailey from Canada. I'm like, what? Damn.
Yeah. Donovan Bailey. Oh, man. I remember that.
They got him, man. I said, man, no, they can't do this. They tried to get Michael Johnson. They ain't get Michael Johnson. They tried to. They were coming after Michael Johnson hard, man. He's winning all them 400-meter races. They was on Michael Johnson's ass, man.
Yeah, they had the gold shoes and everything.
Yeah. I don't know how Mike got out of that. I don't know how he escaped. Michael Johnson escaped. Then they started coming after Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt got out. He made his money and left the game, man. Because Usain Bolt was still young.
They came hard at Usain. Hard at Usain.
Yeah, man. Coming to Usain
but
house.
They got the short little guy. They caught him though.
Oh, you talking about Mustafa Powell?
Him too. They got Mustafa Powell as well. Yeah. God damn. They was just nagging people.
Mustafa Powell, boy, he was underrated, man. That was a fast dude.
Oh yeah, he had a real quick takeoff.
Yeah, man. They were catching him, man. They caught up. What was his name? I know who you talking about, man. Yeah, they got him.
Short little guy.
Yeah, he was fast though.
He was very fast.
Then they got Tyson Gay. Then they got Justin Gatlin.
Right.
Man, I can sit here and name all the celebrities, man, that they done got. Who USADA catching them, man. So I trust USADA, man. I trust them, man. They'll get. They have
a good record. Very good record.
They sure do, man.
When it comes down to that doping.
Nobody gets it.
I'm not mad at VADA either, even though they sometimes get false positives, which is not necessarily a good thing. But they early in the game, so we'll see how it works out with them. But I'm still worried about boxers who may be taking other things. But from what I heard from Clarissa Shields, this thing damages your body. So why would you want to use these synthetic PEDs when you could have natural things, which if you use them with a particular diet would give you maybe even better effects over a longer period of time than using these quick fixes. So I don't understand why some athletes have to really just go that route instead of going, more disciplined route, which is food and nutrition route, and getting better results over time, of course. So that's what I never quite understood myself, seeing that I follow nutrition and so on. I do my boxing and stuff. And, this is the best I've ever been in my whole life, to be honest with you.
Well, man, I know. I mean, I'm vegan. I mean, I don't know. I think you're vegan too, right?
Yeah, I'm vegan.
That's why we're gonna keep looking young in our 40s, and that's why I see guys in their 20s, man, they looking like they're 50. And one guy today, man, at the store, man, we were talking, and he said, man, how old are you, man? He said, man, he said, what are you, 33, 34? I said, nah, man, I'm 44. He said, what? He said, well, how do you think I am? I said, man, you and me the same age. He said, no, dog, I'm 29.
I said, damn.
Oh,
What? I said, oh shoot. I said, you 29? I said, man, brother, boy, you got to make some better dietary choices, man.
mm-hmm.
You got to make some better dietary choices. Good grief. I said, vegetables keep you young, man.
For real. And you have a lot more energy.
Yeah,
A lot
man.
more energy.
Yep.
Anyway, man, people, we're going on 3 hours of talking, which
damn.
was great. Yeah, we talked for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep you guys in the sleep mode, but it was nice, this impromptu. Coach Sheldon Harris, let them know your channel on YouTube and where you at.
Oh man, CSH Combat Sports. You know, check it out. But YouTube kind of doing a number on us. You know, my channel, your channel, they're not allowing us to gain new subscribers anyway. So if you come, they'll probably unsubscribe you the next day or the next hour. That's what they do. So yeah, but, you know, check it out, man, and just check the sub list every day because they'll unsub you.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep, that's what they're doing.
Well, they didn't allow my link to stay in the link area for a little bit too. I don't know. They're trying to change rules to level their playing field or whatever they want to do. But shout out to Get This Smoke. Get This Smoke. Let them know about you. Let them know about your channel.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't have a channel, man. I just pop up and support. You know, I'm really.
You had a channel though. You had a channel.
No, man, I put 2 videos out in my entire life, and I took those. The only thing on my channel is a test, right? But and you know, you remember the video that I put out too. Anyway,
Yeah.
Today's a special one for me because you know I've been listening to Coach for years. He don't know the hell I am, but I know the hell he is, right?
Oh man.
And yeah, and I always love chopping up with you. What you need, you already know. And I found out about that Archie Moore lineal thing, but we can chop that. That's a different subject for another day.
All right.
next time, boys.
No problem. You just let me know what subjects you want to bring up. Oh, by the way, I'm supposed to try and bring a judge on here so we can talk about how he scores boxing. So I'm hoping to try and link that up.
Oh yeah.
And well, Coach Sheldon Harris, I always check your channel all the time, as you know. I'm not really into the MMA thing, so if I see something in MMA or I see anything in boxing, I always listen in. So
yeah.
you know, I'm boxing. What can I say? It's a bias, but it's what it is. I like boxing, right?
That's right. Yeah,
that's just my thing.
We
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm probably one day I'll like it. Maybe one day I'll like MMA. Who knows? You know. But tell me something about MMA, because apparently because of these crossover fights, I started looking at guys like Tenshin, who's a kickboxer. Watch a little bit of his stuff.
Floyd school that boy, man.
and what's this kid's name also that that's kind of he's an MMA fighter, at least mixed martial arts fighter. He's a I watched 1 or 2 of his fights. The Russian guy.
Okay,
Khabib?
yeah, he boxes now.
Khabib?
Oh, Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Yeah,
no, Khabib,
that's
Khabib
his name.
Can't box. No, Khabib can't box. He get his ass whooped trying to box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, Khabib.
But,
I mean, he undefeated in MMA, but nah, man. Khabib.
I looked at 1 or 2 of his fights, and this guy, like, once he gets you on the ground, like, you ain't getting out of that stuff. Khabib, like, he know how to grip you a kind of way.
He sit and tell you to give up, man. He be talking to you in the octagon. He tell you to stop, just give up. Say you don't want to take no more abuse, just give up. That's what he be telling them, man.
Wow.
Yeah, Khabib is, man. He good, man. He good.
He's strong. He's physically strong. Like once he gets you on the ground and starts to kind of tie you up a kind of way, like you ain't getting away.
No, you can't get out of it, man. And he's a submission specialist, man. He good. But what he does, he likes to maul you, man. So I still am not really sure about his chin. And he gonna run into a guy that can stop takedowns. And if he can run into a guy with good takedown defense,
Khabib gonna be in trouble. He gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Because that's all he
Um,
depends on.
Yeah, you got to get your striking together. Because MMA, if you're a one trick pony, somebody gonna beat you, man. That's the only thing. And
Mm,
you had the Ronda Rousey's one trick pony, and she
right.
got knocked out. But see, she couldn't. Holly Holm could defend takedowns better than anybody in the sport. So Ronda Rousey couldn't win. You had a guy like Colby Covington. Kamaru Usman just beat him up because Colby
But
Covington relies on
I'm
who?
hearing that everybody just against Usman. What's the deal with that? Like, didn't Usman win fair and square? What's the problem?
Oh yeah, he beat Masvidal, beat him up,
Yeah,
beat Covington, beat him up. Usman is probably he the real deal, man. At 170, real
yeah.
deal, real deal. I don't think nobody's gonna be able to touch him, man. Like Usman, he's so good that man, they trying to get him to move up to 185, man, to even
To get
take a
him beat?
challenge, huh?
To get him beat?
Yeah, man, or to possibly so he can, to get him to lose because at 170 he's not losing, man. I mean, he went in there and dominated Colby Covington. Colby Covington is like, a freak of nature. Then he go in there, he beat the hell out of Jorge Masvidal, dominated him. Don't nobody dominate Masvidal like that. Kamaru
Hmm.
Usman dominated him. Then he break a sweat, man. Then he go in there and dominate Tyron Woodley. Manhandled through
He
Tyron
beat
Woodley.
Tyron Woodley?
Oh, he beat him
Damn.
easily, man. Beat him down, beat
Damn.
him easily. Yeah, man.
Hmm.
Usman is special, man. He's real special. The man can strike. His boxing is okay. It's pretty decent boxing. He can pick and choose the shots. His kicking game is good, but man, he gonna be
All
impossible
around
to
good.
beat. Yeah, they're gonna have to move him up, man, for him to lose. That's the only way he losing if he move up. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. He's the John Jones at 170 pounds.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
What is 170 pounds? What kind of division is that? That's
That's
what?
a
Super
welterweight.
lightweight?
In MMA, that's a welterweight.
That's a welterweight.
Yeah, they
Wow.
call it 170. They call it welterweight. So it's
Wow.
kind of different, man. 145 pounds is called a featherweight. Like they got
What?
105. Yeah, it's called featherweight. That's what they call it. And then
Wow, they're
135 is
much bigger.
bantamweight, 125 is flyweight, 115 is strawweight. Because they go in increments of 10, so it's 105, 110, 150. I mean, I'm sorry, 105, 115, 125,
Okay.
145, and then they go from 145 to 155. But then they go from 55 to 70, and then 70 to 85, and then 85 to 205, 85 to 205, and then heavyweight. So
So heavyweight is above 205.
who?
Heavyweight is above 205.
Yeah. Heavyweight's above 205.
Dang, that's much bigger. That everything sounds bigger than boxing weight
Yeah,
classes.
it's strange, man. It's strange how they do it, man. Real strange. But that's why
I mean, I just never explored, mixed martial arts and that kind of thing. I mean, I always liked, you call that kung fu, the general traditional martial arts, kung fu, karate, that kind of thing. Because I always like to watch kung fu movies and that kind of thing. But I never really looked at mixed martial arts and really examined the different types of mixed martial arts, the kickboxing, all of that. But maybe I should pay attention to it a little bit more. I just don't at the present moment because the thing about boxing is the stand-up game. I find very interesting.
yeah,
With just the hands, what you could do with your hands, so many different things you could do with your hand and your body, that it kind of got me immersed in it. But I guess when I look at mixed martial arts now, it's going to be looking at all the other areas that you could use to strike or grapple or, so that would be probably in depth as well.
yeah.
But
Yeah, the MMA fighters though, they got to learn to respect the game of boxing. They got to, man, because
it's a different.
it was 2 years ago, man. I told this amateur, he was good in MMA, man, real good, but in boxing, he's a novice, and so he
Right.
came in there thinking that, oh well, because the gloves are so soft, that he'll be, another one of them. And I said, man, this is a totally different game. I said, you get hit by a boxer, guy that know how to place punches. That's what he do. It's a whole nother kind of pain. Oh, but I get hit
Oh, yeah.
before I get hit with 4-ounce gloves, man. And these are like 10-ounce gloves. I said, it don't matter. I said, listen, keep your guard up. Don't eat any unnecessary shots because if you do, he gonna knock you out. I ain't getting knocked out. Hey man, 25 seconds into the fight, this guy put his hands down, stick his tongue out, because he got popped with a jab and it didn't hurt. Man, the guy got put to sleep, man. He got caught with a 1-2. All she wrote. He was out. I told him, I said, man, I tried to tell you. Come on, man. Boxing is no joke, man. It's dangerous for a reason.
No, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. You know, and you could get a broken jaw very easily in boxing. Very, very easily.
And the leather,
That's
and I
all
said,
they do.
you don't even account for the leather. The leather on the gloves, that stuff cut your skin, man. It cut the leather. The leather hurts.
Right.
I don't know if you ever got punched in the jaw with a leather glove. And then, I said, and then too, you don't know if he got horsehair gloves. You don't know if he got foam. I said, you don't know what he got. I said, and if he got horsehair gloves, you definitely going to sleep fast.
Yeah, because the knuckles gonna hit him.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, he learned a lesson that day. You better respect boxing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dangerous. I mean, I respect MMA as well. You know, I'm not gonna just jump into MMA, and I have no experience in MMA. I just know how to box. I'm not doing that. James Toney, he had a lot of guts to do that.
Sure did. Michael, wait, who else did it? James Toney,
Ricardo Mayorga, James Toney,
Ray Mercer did it. Ray Mercer won his fight, though. He won his first fight.
He did?
Yeah, he knocked out a guy named Tim Silver. Knocked him out, knocked him unconscious. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's rare though, man. It's rare. And see, when Carissa Shields was talking about it, I'm like, man,
yeah,
don't do it. Don't do it.
She's trying to train for it, but she not ready for that right now.
That would she can ruin her boxing career because the first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna armbar, and they're gonna try to break her arm, man. That's what they'll do. And I don't want to see her boxing career go up like that. At least learn how to defend that stuff before you jump in there.
Right.
Just learning how to wrestle, that's not enough. Because you get somebody who really knows jujitsu, and they'll break your arm. They'll break hers anyway.
For sure.
Yeah, man. I think she needs.
Especially if they've been doing it since they were children. It's just it's going to be really tough to even try and mess with somebody like that.
Yeah, it's a risk, man. Even a low level MMA fighter, a very low level, could beat her simply because they're not going to stand up and take the punches. They're going to go for they're going to grab her legs and take her down, and that's it. Chris Cyborg was explaining that to her, man, because they were just doing some light MMA, and Chris was taking Carissa down with ease, just taking her to the ground over and over. And Chris said, you got to get taken down 100 times a day to even learn how to stop from being taken down. And Chris was like, damn, really? She said, yeah, it's a hard game. You gotta be prepared.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think Chris is ready for that, man.
No. she'll need a good 10 years of MMA training and going in the ring facing professional MMA fighters of different kinds before she could even think of that, I would think. Maybe shorter. I don't know, but
yeah, man, it's definitely been fun, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, man. Again, it's an honor to have you on this program. We're going to continue to try and do educational things and just try to, kind of just tell people the truth, not just one side or the other side, just the truth of the matter, and discuss some topics they don't usually talk about in boxing as well.
Yeah, man. That's good. That's good. I can't wait.
Yeah, I appreciate you. So Coach Shelton Harris here on this program. We also had Get This Smoke. And thanks to all the people in the chat area who was also communicating with us. Some of y'all was saying some crazy stuff. I don't know what I had to do with boxing, but whatever. You guys have a good night. God bless. Peace.
Bless you.